I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Well, I've got hope and I've got faith, folks. I get a little bit more each day. The veneer, the veil of communism has been removed from the Afghan National Congress for the world that's willing to see just how corrupt, dishonest, and illegitimate this government is. It's racial discrimination against minorities, white, brown, and black. It's horrible, horrible what's been happening in South Africa. I've been talking about it for years, and now Donald Trump has removed the veil from them. Welcome back to the program. Just 24 hours ago, we started an epic whirlwind discussion, conversation, reportage as I broke the story to South Africa that it was all going to crap. Ladies and gentlemen, 24 hours ago, we went live and it mentioned Donald Trump's executive order in which he called out the ANC for its lies about expropriation without compensation, its abuses and long lists of grievances directed against the United States with no response from America, and the stopping of all aid to South Africa. In addition, he offered a resettlement program for those he described as Afrikaners abused by racially discriminatory laws. Since then, the backlash has been predictable and from the expected groups of people, the leftist media with their lies, the ANC, the politicians. I will show you fake news tonight from the Independent line and from News 24. Also, I'll read a list of things in a House resolution from last year, almost a year ago, in which had a long list of grievances and misdeeds by the ANC directed against the United States national security interest. And these are the true reasons why South Africa finds itself in trouble now. But welcome back to the program, folks. When do you sleep? Actually, Annabelle, I slept a few hours this afternoon and dozed off a couple times this evening. I was a bit knackered. It was I did 4.5 hours last night after having broadcast during the day, and made a couple videos during the day. Then I made a video before I went to bed, one that's approaching 100,000 views. Let me see, I think 90 something. Let me take a look and see how that one's doing. To explain to people what's going on, because I knew the fake news media would be telling people lies about what Trump said, what was in the executive order. So, excuse me. That video is at 96,000. And yeah, so a 7-minute video. I think it was a wise decision to make that last night. And then I went to bed for about an hour, got up, did the Stormers Bulls broadcast, which was very, very disappointing, as my Stormers were pathetic. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Yuri Matia and Clayton Blommake's poor kicking skills cost us the game over the Bulls. And then Herschel Yankees throwing the ball away and giving it to Johan Gerbela really killed us there. Or Akko Vandermeer, excuse me. Akko Vandermeer killed us on a try that never should have been scored. Anyway, so yeah, then I finished that and I went live for another 3.5 hours, then did some research. But yeah, it's been a long haul. Robert Olafia says, good morning. I'm so disgusted with agri-reform and agri-reform? Agri-SA or AFRIFORM? Which agri-reform? Now they're all saying there's no issues. Well, because they're liars. They're absolute liars. They're complete liars, and it's all fake news. And I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to give you the truth right here, and you can decide for yourself. You don't have to believe anything I say. You can go search for yourself. I'll give you the receipts. We provide the receipts for the things that come up. Now, if it's my analysis, I can't give you a receipt for my analysis of events and the potentialities. But bear in mind that I'm the guy that told you the ANC would get between 38 and 42%. And I didn't tell you the week before the May 29th election. I told you the week after the November 2021 elections for municipalities, and I stuck with that figure even as the facts changed and as they adjusted, because that was my analysis and I was 100% correct. Also told you that the only viable option for a government would either be a plurality government that was paralyzed with no ability to take no decision, which I think is probably in the best interest of South Africa, or it would be the DA going into a coalition with the ANC, and that's exactly what we have. I also told you when the news of the coalition broke that the DA had no real positions of power in the new government. They didn't have the deputy president. They didn't have any of the security sector, not the ministry. Excuse me, God bless it. They didn't have justice, they didn't have police, they didn't have military, they didn't have intelligence, they didn't have foreign ministry. They had no real power. All they had were the broken ministries that desperately need to be repaired, and that's been left for them to do. The DA was a neutered part in this relationship. I told you that in June, July, God bless. And ever since, it's like I got an ANC, earworm or something going down my throat there. All right. So yeah, so you don't have to take what I say. You take it with a grain of salt. You should take everything what somebody tells you with a grain of salt and research for yourself. But I give the receipts, and when I tell you it's analysis, and my analysis is pretty darn good. There's a reason why I was so successful for all the years I was in the intelligence community. But I had a reputation for getting the job done, which I obviously can't tell you about all that. It's classified. I can just tell you, and you can tell me I'm making it up, and that's where we have to leave it at. Vilma Rasmus, Old King Red, Freya Menzel, Marius Fenta, Chris Ehlers, Courtney McBride is in from Bremerton, Washington. That's out near Seattle. Johannes Badenhorst, Chris Ehlers, Scrooby Noob, no, what's this? Knobbers. No, I'm not watching the Drickus fight. Is that on at 4? So I'll probably lose a lot of people in an hour. No, it's already happened, right? Oh, it's 4 my time. I don't know. I don't really care about the fight. Angie Brand, welcome to you. Elizabeth Krug is back. Where and when will these clouds disappear? These clouds aren't going to disappear because Donald Trump is not going to fall for the BS that the media and the ANC and racist on social media are publishing. It doesn't change the facts of the matter. Skulk Badenhorst, welcome to you. Alan Kotza. Alan, you thought I was skipping the other day. Joe Furry, welcome to you from KZN. Where are we at? There's Vilma Rasmus. Herbla, welcome to you. Michael Byrne. Listening to this interested ear. Okay, our South media is fake news. It's so sickening, and I'm going to show you just so obvious. Look, if you use in a newspaper, if you use an image, you normally credit the image, and they do credit the image, but you have to be honest about when it's from. Gary Johnson subscribed. Thank you for that. You have to be honest. Now, I use images in my videos to convey points. Like, for instance, I used a video, that guy Roland Martin that someone told me about, he used Cyril Ramaphosa speaking 6 years ago when he was stumping for votes and he was attacking Donald Trump, saying he can keep his country, leave South Africa alone. You don't know what you're doing here. He used that and said that was Ramaphosa's response to Trump's tweet, which is a lie. They're 6 years apart. I've used it in my videos to point out the vitriol, the bile, and the hatred that Cyril Ramaphosa displayed towards Donald Trump in America, which is very different. I've used similar photos to the one that you're going to see in the story I'm going to show you from News 24, but I use it to show the events that happened. This is from the multi-party charter a year and a half ago. And it's put in News 24, and it's put out to give the impression to the public that opposition parties have gotten together and have agreed to put a united stand up against Donald Trump, which is a lie. It's a lie. The toilet paper of record runs this story. It's a lie. News 24 lies. The toilet paper of record, IOL lies, and we're going to expose those tonight. So hang tight. Please help me get a job in America. I've got 9 years drilling experience. I can't help you with that, Roche. You're going to have to wait and see what happens with this program. Donald Trump on the 20th of January froze the refugee resettlement program in place. No refugees could come into the country under that program for resettlement. It's a very generous program, and he froze it pending review. It's under review now. However, last night, God bless. Last night, Donald Trump directed that Afrikaners be allowed to resettle under that program. So that puts us in a quandary, a conundrum. We don't know the status of it. We'll have to wait for the State Department to issue guidelines on what defines an Afrikaner in their view and what comes out of this. Expect to hear something as early as Monday, perhaps, but certainly not now. Arush, you can't pay me anything. I won't take any money for that. There's nothing I can do to help you. I have no control over that, but thank you for your concern. My advice would be, if that's what you want to do, is to patiently wait for what's coming and look to see what happens. I don't need to be uncaring. I just have no control over it. It's like people ask me to help them get visas. I worked in 9 embassies in Africa, and I couldn't get you a visa. No one can get you a visa. Only get you for official purposes. It's called corruption. We don't allow that. That's why we don't have corruption cases. We've had a few of them. We've had a few State Department officials, consular officers who've been caught selling visas in China, and they're in prison. They're in prison. Yeah, no, we don't allow that. AfReform said they thank Trump, but will not consider. Yeah, okay, Chris, but that's not AgReform. That's AfReform. Marius Fenta likes my Bush hat. It's a Tugela hat. You like that? Pretty nice, huh? Yep. Picked this up at Outdoor Safari in Linwood Bridge a couple years ago. Since when is AfReform the voice of all Afrikaners? Who said it was? Who claimed that it was? Christian Rabi, welcome to you. Hello, Indiana Jones. Thank you for that. Wart says, good morning. What do you think of AfReform thinking they can speak for all Afrikaners? Where do you, who said they speak for all Afrikaners? The media? Guys, you got to stop falling for the media. I know Kali Creel. When did Kali Creel claim that he spoke for all Afrikaners? I never heard him say that once. If you can point me to it, then I'll be happy to show it on air and play the video. If someone can tell me where they have a video or a story where Kali Creel is quoted or you heard him say that he speaks for all Afrikaners, that's nonsense. Stop believing the fake news you get in South Africa. It's like the rumors that were running around today. Oh, it's only for farmers. There's not one word of farmer anywhere in the executive order. Never mentioned once. Not once. Yet that's what people are telling, because that's what your lying, leftist, racist media want people to know, because they want to demonize farmers in South Africa, because they're evil, sick pigs. That's why this is the lying, dog-faced, pony soldier edition of Chris Wyatt Reports. And just in case you've forgotten where that phrase came from, the lying, dog-faced, pony soldier, I thought I'd share this little snippet with you. Remember this golden oldie?
My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now.
The hell am I doing here? I want to thank Dr. John and Kenga song. Dr. John and Kenga song. My mind's going blank now. What the hell's going on? I can't get this thing to work. Where's my iPad? Lying, dog-faced, pony soldier. That's what this edition is, folks. Good morning, Sunrise with the Colonel. Leslie Ann Moon. That sounds like Leslie Ann Warren. It reminds me of the actress from back in the 70s, 80s. I hope Trump thinks this through thoroughly. Elon is slightly out of touch. Well, yes, Elon is not the proximate cause for this. This is part of the problem. The faulty analysis by South African media and a lot of South Africans that the reason that this is happening is because of Elon Musk. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be happening without Elon Musk. Let me get through the chat, and I'm going to read to you from House resolution from last year, the egregious offenses directed against the United States national security interests. And then you tell me if this is about EWC. That's a little piece of it. That's, the fact that arrogant asshat Cyril Ramaphosa decided that he was going to not tell Trump he was going to sign this controversial law, knowing it was a big issue in America and in South Africa. And yet, in fact, he already signed it on December 20th, according to sources. I can't confirm that. I wasn't there when he signed it. But according to that, he signed on December 20th. He made a big deal signing it on the 23rd of January at Davos for attention. He had just been on the phone hours prior with Donald Trump congratulating him on his being sworn in, and he failed to mention this issue. Donald Trump took that personally. I guarantee you don't piss the Trumpster off. That's a lie by omission. And he should have just said, hey, listen, I'm about to sign this bill. It could have caught Trump off guard. Maybe Trump would have said, hey, can you hold off a second? Let me, hang on. But no, he intentionally covered it up, and that's what's going on. It has nothing to do with Elon Musk, honestly. It isn't. If it was Elon Musk, the first thing out of the gate, if it was Elon Musk, then it would have been on January 20th, not on February 3rd, 11 days after Cyril Ramaphosa signed the legislation. And after the DA came out and said, well, there are problems with the bill, but we support the ANC. We're part of the governing national unity. Hello, I'm Poindexter, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, and we love the ANC. Amandla, away. Amandla, away. Oh, I'm sorry. Blue machine, yay, blue machine. Yeah, that's when Trump acted, only after that. So it's not after reform, and it's not Elon Musk. Robert Olivier, when? You can say that all day, and I'll take you at your word, but I'm not going to repeat it unless I can prove it. I've never heard that. I know Kali Creel. I've never heard him utter those words, but then I don't hang out with Kali Creel 24 hours a day. I'm watching National Lampoon's Vacation. Vacation, all I ever needed. Vacation. Oh, that's the Go-Go's. Good as long as Trump doesn't fall for, yeah. What's AfriForum? What's your, okay, Warwick, what is your beef with AfriForum? Why do you hate them so much? Please explain to us what your beef is. Otherwise, I'm just going to ignore your comments if you're not going to tell us what the issue is here. You said they speak for everybody, but you haven't told me when. Billy Meyer says, morning from Pretoria. Are you live every morning? You got you yesterday. No, Billy, I'm live every day in the evening, 7 days a week, unless I'm traveling or I have consulting services or something's breaking. Then I'm usually covering it. I'm live at 6 p.m. South African time, 7 days a week, unless I got rugby going on weekends or, like I said, I'm traveling. I try to go as live as often as possible when I'm traveling and be as consistent as possible. I don't do the morning ones. I've done this a few times the past couple weeks because Trump takes action in the afternoon or evening, and it's too late for South Africans to respond. I don't want to wake them all up at 2 o'clock in the morning unless it's momentous like I had to do yesterday. But yesterday it was already 6 by the time I went live. So I'm not every morning. Right now it works well for me because it's 7 hours time difference between Washington and Pretoria. So 7 hours means 11 p.m. I can be up at 11 p.m. But when it becomes 6 hour difference and I have to be up at midnight and then I go till 2 o'clock in the morning, that's a bit rough. So anyway, I don't know if Kali supports Cape Independence. As far as I know, he doesn't. Why are people attacking AfriForum? Exactly. No one forces any Afrikaner to be a part of AfriForum. It's a voluntary organization. I don't know why people are attacking AfriForum and why they don't like it. You don't have to like AfriForum. You don't have to be a member of it. You don't have to support it. You can be angry about them, but don't come in here and attack them without facts. We deal in facts here, you know? Excuse me. All right. Sorry. Renewed Mind says, and our neighbors will not intervene for fear of retaliation. U.S. planes banned from South Africa. Who's going to enforce that? What are you talking about? Whose planes were banned from South Africa? Most of these people just think of themselves, not their children. Hey, Hendo, how's it going? Poor Hendo, he's exhausted too, man. He's keeping almost the same pace as me, although he took a break. He needed it. Zelensky has said he's willing. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I don't like that whole thing with Ukraine. I don't like this transaction sort of nonsense. We'll give you weapons if you give us the rare earths. I don't like that at all. That's a very bad look. I appreciate the strategic importance of that, but no, I'm sorry. It's not worth it. No, we should not be supporting the death and murder of civilians and innocent conscripts in Russia and Ukraine's war. I think that we should put Putin and Zelensky in a room with a boxing ring and, no gloves and let them duke it out. And then the winner takes all. Now, honestly, I think that I'm not happy about that at all. Zelensky can keep his rare earth elements. I'm not interested. We can buy them on the open marketplace. We are not the French. We are not the Germans. We are not the Brits. We don't do transactional things to secure mineral rights like the Chinese do at the cost of human lives. And I'm not happy about that. I'm hoping that that's just BS that Trump is spewing, because that's just not something cool. That's where my worldview parts with that position. Is it Eddie? Thank you, sir. Understanding the plight of the white middle class and poor minority who are the real victims of apartheid and classist regime. Yeah, of all races, the poor. Yep. Okay, where was that here? Sorry, folks. Let me find the video for you. Okay, thank you, Robert Olivier. I appreciate it. You won't be able to post the link. All right, Robert, I took a chance and someone abused that. I'll take a chance again, Robert. This is what I'll do. When you find it, make sure you put @Colonel Wyatt in there, because I don't see your chat. I just happened to glance over and see this, so I missed it. So you can find the link, because YouTube won't let you post a link unless you're a moderator, okay? When you find it, I will take a chance. Made a big mistake with Baba. He abused this, and I'll take another risk here, because it's not a lot. We got 235 people tonight, so we'll see. When that happens, you tell me. I'll give you temporary moderator status so you can post the link, and then I'll take it away. Nothing, no offense to you. Just letting you know, I'll take that risk. Audience, be prepared for that in case he misbehaves. I had no reason to doubt him, but then I had no reason to doubt Bob, and look how he behaved. Anyway, he went after Pablo Charlie. So we will do that, and then you'll be able to post the link, and we'll be able to see it, and I'll check it out. Okay. So many things people came out last night and told me were said in the press, or that people said in South Africa. Like last night, somebody kept saying, well, and it turned out many of them were just trolls. Look, the government said that, or they said this, and then I like, no, I read that report. That was the first story I led with from Business Tech yesterday. There's no such mention of that anywhere in it. And people giving links and I'm not accusing you, Robert Olivier, of this, but I'm saying people giving sources and claiming the source said this, that, or the other, but it does no such thing. It's the problem with the electronic age. And again, this is not directed at Robert Olivier. He may very well have heard this and seen this, and I'll accept that. What I'm telling you is that 99% of the people who refute or tell me that something was said, they're coffee table. Okay, the headline, TikTok. That's not genuine. Homie, don't play that game. So I'm hoping Robert is able to find the link, and we'll be able to put it in here. Their press conference, I think I saw it. I saw snippets that were clipped and pasted together from their I saw Ernst von Sale. I saw his response, and I read some of his comments last night. And then I also saw Colley. But Colley's been all over the press. They're all coming after him now. So now the media are trying to play nice with AfriForum. Because AfriForum doesn't want to leave South Africa. See, they're not part of the ANC, the Trump's racism. It's just so predictable. Patrick says, we've seen the Afrikaner history play out in this chat. Exactly. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Just like I said last night. You give me 10 Afrikaners and Boers, put them in a room, and I'll give you 12 opinions. You give me 10, I'll give you 14 leaders. Yep, that's exactly right. That's the history of this cultural group. And maybe it has something to do with the fragmented way that it became a culture and a group. I mean, you had Dutch and French Huguenots and Germans, and then Khoisan kind of mixing in there, and you got all kinds of people mixing in, and maybe that's a legacy of that. I mean, the Huguenots, the Dutch, and the Germans all brought very strong cultures, and the Germans didn't bring just one culture. I mean, the Germans came from all over what was German-speaking lands and brought multiple forms of their culture. So meshing all that together, there's clearly some pain, and maybe that's part of the history of why that community gets so divided amongst itself. Yep. Tulani and Dolovo, good morning from Sydney. Tulani, what are you doing in Sydney? That's quite a ways off. It is 3:30 in the afternoon there. Welcome to you. Armageddon, welcome to you. Billy Meyer, weekends works perfect. Richard Fundelinde, okay. It's like 1 in the morning for Chris. No, it's 11:30. It's not that bad. HP Blom, I have nothing to do with AfriForum. Oh, good for you, HP Blom. Well, neither do I, other than I interview them and they answer my questions. Carlo Cronier, question, how long can a window be for refugees to apply? Okay, Carlo, you're asking an impossible question. There's no window for refugees to apply. The United States Refugee Resettlement Program is a program that has existed for decades. It's available all the time. Unfortunately for everybody who's asking these questions, it's currently frozen. It was frozen on January 20th. One of the first acts that Donald Trump did was sign an executive order freezing resettlement refugees because the program was massively abused by the Biden regime, bringing criminals, bringing people who weren't vetted, bringing people who had no basis whatsoever to come here, and people who had questionable refugee status into this country to swamp this country with people who weren't Americans, to undermine the cultural integrity and social unity of this nation and the political fragmentization and balkanization, which is their desire for whatever reason. They wanted to break the country up. They dumped these people in rural heartlands. They dumped these people in suburban areas. They didn't put them in the big cities. Some of them migrated there, but they didn't put them there. They didn't put them in liberal strongholds. They put them in places where conservatives were to undermine the strength of conservative communities. So that program was frozen on January 20th, this executive order. You can go to whitehouse.gov and look it up. The problem is that so many executive orders were issued at that time that the left lost sight of that very quickly. And their mind quickly went to USAID and foreign aid and all this other stuff. So that is in effect. Trump issued an executive order last night, which directs that program give priority to Afrikaners who are abused for racially discriminatory acts of the government of South Africa. Afrikaners weren't defined in that order, so that's going to have to be worked out. And it doesn't matter what you think an Afrikaner is. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the U.S. government accepts for an Afrikaner. In my view, that could be a colored South African from the Western Cape or the Northern Cape. It could be a black South African who is on a farm and grew up, his only language is Afrikaans and happens to be Dutch Reformed. It can be an Afrikaner, a white person, a Boer. Your definition may be very different than mine, but I'm talking about people who have been racially discriminated against. So anyway, the answer to your question is there is no window. And if this is a program of short duration, then it will be announced. The conditions for the Afrikaners to get in this program have not been established. I cannot answer that question. And anybody that tells you they have the answer to that question is a lying dog-faced pony soldier. That's what they are. A lying dog-faced pony soldier who doesn't know what they're talking about and is spreading bullshit rumors, which is something that South Africans love to do. But then, hey, so do Americans, so I can't pick on South Africans. So I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you on that, but that is the hard truth. And as soon as we know something, I'll bring it to you. I mean, look, when a story breaks, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. The moment I find out about it, I'm up, I'm looking at it. If I have enough information to go live, I go live to detail, explain it, to calm people down. If I need to do more research to prepare a video, I do it. And I usually prepare a video, explain to people. I've been doing this ever since I left active duty 5 years ago. And this is what I did for generals and admirals and presidents and prime ministers and kings all over the world for the past 40 years. It was an hour, 30-minute press conference. I didn't see that, Chris. That's a long time. I only saw snippets of it. Okay. Trump is known to prefer transactional relationships. Look at Japan the other day. Yes, he is, but I don't agree with the Ukraine thing. Oh my gosh, Jessica's here. Good to see you there. Thank you, Jessica. Good to see you there. How's it going? How's it going? Wills has got buffering. That's on your end. Tulani in Sydney. I already got George Steinberger's in from Heckport. Weekends work perfect. Okay, so where are we at? Dan Bailey's in from Wyoming once again, the Cowboy State. He'd appreciate this hat. Cowboy action shooter there. Dan Bailey, folks. We've had him on the program. You can look it up. Dan Bailey, Cowboy action shooters. Yep, really cool guy. He and his dad, nice people. Salt of the earth, good people, man. Good Americans. Question, how do we take EWC from being a race-based issue to it's a private property issue? Vernon, I mean, you've been here all along. You have to just attack this at its root, but you're going to have a hard time unless you control the media, and you can't control the media, and so that's the issue. What you have to do is in the forums, you have to have people like Peter Hernevald and Velenkoli Chabisa and Kenneth Mishwe and others get up in Parliament when they have their moment to speak and be called on camera saying, this is a tool of political oppression. This is a tool that will be used by the government of the day, regardless of who runs this country, to abuse minorities. We've seen it under the National Party and we've seen it under the ANC, and he'll get lots of howls. Ooh! But that's what you have to do, because you're not going to get a story in News 24 or IOL or the Daily Maverick or Times Live or any of these publications that tells the truth. They'll tell a partial truth or they'll distort it. And I'll show you a story today in the toilet paper of record that says AfriForum reverses the white genocide story. They never said white genocide. The newspaper said it. And I'll do a search. You'll watch me do it live. You'll see that there's no appearance of the word genocide in the story in which the journalist from the toilet paper record claims that AfriForum denies the white genocide. Well, of course they don't deny it. They didn't even talk about it. You did, for clickbait, to mislead people, to pretend that white people are racist. It's all the same nonsense. All right, so, all right. Big companies started leaving Southern long before these accusations against AfriForum because they have an issue with the government and policies. What accusations against AfriForum? How long? Okay, sorry, Carlo. That was my answer, Carlo Cronia. More like, I have no idea what you're talking about there, David Solomon. Is that meant to insult an ethnic group? I don't know what you mean. Yeah, homie, don't play that. I haven't heard that in a long time. Yeah, it's in living color. That's correct. Art Wolfier says YouTube video is called AfriForum holds a media briefing over Trump's executive order. Okay, I don't need to give you the link, Wolfier, because it's an hour and a half. I can't pull that up. I'm not going to sit here with you for an hour and a half and waste your time. I'll go watch that when I have a chance, but I haven't had many chances with it. Thank you for sharing that, Robert Olivier. So again, why do we want to see that? Because AfriForum said they spoke for all Afrikaners. Did anybody else watch that? Chris, did you watch it? Is that the gist of what you got? If it is, then I'll call Kali on the carpet for that. Yep. Ruvani doesn't like AfriForum. Why do you guys hate AfriForum? Who else is standing up for Afrikaners? Who? Tell me. Successfully. Who files lawsuits and wins them or reverses erases decisions by the government? Who else has done that for you? DRSA? Bourguignon? Who's done it for you? Please tell me. Anton Marais. Herman Lombard. Okay. Annabelle City. Well, I think we're getting some trolling going on here, so relax. Thank you for your common sense approach and helping us in South Exotic Thoughts. You're welcome, Renee Scully. It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here. Angie Brent. Good morning to you. AM Risk Training is back again. Dardy, welcome to you. You have been amazing, Colonel. Well, buy a donkey. Quel bois. And I should say, Dumela. If you're discriminated against, then you know. Exactly. Yeah, if you've been discriminated against, you know you've been discriminated against. I'm scared for what is going on to happen next. Well, Angie, that was my concern last night. I warned South Africans, especially minorities, to be very careful about where you're going, what you say, and who you hang out with. Just not to frighten you, but just understand that some clowns will target you. Cobus Stain is here. Well done. One thing this kept South Africa thinking. Oh, yeah, it's definitely done that, Cobus. It's definitely kept South Africa. It's also denied me of sleep, that's for sure. But there's been a payoff. We've had a lot of people discover the channel here, and that's pretty exciting stuff. Pretty exciting stuff. My sister visited the United States 4 years ago. She was insulted openly in the street by African Americans. I saw Aaron Rhodes get insulted on a bus by African Americans. I didn't see Aaron Rhodes get insulted by African Americans. I've been insulted by Black Americans. Well, idiots are idiots, whether they're white or black. It doesn't matter. Idiots are all over the world. So it's just this reality. But people who deny that are just propagandists. They have strong grifter vibes with their statement, as they know they'll be irrelevant if Afrikaners leave. Okay, Nuke the Ice Caps, thank you. I guess I'm going to have to watch this video that Robert Olivier wants me to talk about because it sounds like people are getting all kinds of vibes from it. Thank you for theirs, Robert. If you're a mod, please search. Okay, no, Robert, we got it, but I can't show in 90 minutes, brother. So I'm not sure what you're trying to get across here. Rudy Potas, thank you for the informative videos and streams. It's a sad day as an Afrikaner. No, I hope that you're not considering leaving the country. That's your personal choice, but at least somebody around the world has recognized the Afrikaners as a people. Yeah, what other countries recognize you? One person got asylum in Canada 15 years ago. That's it. Chris Bodenhorst, Annabelle, AfriForum's fight is against corrupt and unjust policies. Agreed. No sweat, says Robert. Okay, cool, Robert. Chris Wyatt is back. Good to see you again. Michelle Krause, welcome. She supports AfriForum. Okay, here we go. Let's just do that. You guys have got me curious now. All right. Okay, I'm very curious. Do you support? Okay. All right, I got a poll up. You guys got a chance to answer this. Do you support AfriForum? I'm curious now that all these people talk. Jock says they sure did make it sound like South Americans or South Africans felt the same. Huh. Yeah, okay, everyone's talking about it. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to watch it, and I guess I'll give you an evaluation. Thank you, Robert Olivier, for bringing it to our attention. I had seen clips of it, so I didn't think it was necessary to watch the whole thing. I've been very busy, but I'll do that. Lindy Dutoy says, I was wondering if anyone knows when we'll be able to apply. No one knows. No one knows, Lindy, and no one will know. No one can know. It's an unknown. Until the State Department issues a policy, which won't happen today. Roko Saki, welcome to you. Roko Saki, man. Konnichiwa. We're basically walking around with a target on our backs. Just now, we have to be observed. Exactly, Armageddon. That's what I said last night. It was the first thing. Watched my first broadcast last night. In the first several minutes, I know I mentioned that, and I certainly mentioned it several times throughout that 4.5 hour broadcast last night. The guy from Canada, the ANC, fought to have returned, and his asylum was overturned. Yep, see, exactly. So Canada didn't even support it. Jessica said, I appreciate the opportunity that Trump is providing us. Yeah, but you're already here, Jessica. AfriForum should have implemented a security and intelligence agency long ago. Pablo Charlie, that's not legal in South Africa. They would have gotten in trouble for that. Well done, Trump. At least the illusion is now broken. Exactly. The fantasy that the ANC is a party of liberation and a party that supports human rights and a party that is above the fray, that is a good actor on the world stage, has been blown apart. Afrikaners tend to never agree that exactly, David. Not an insult. I am Afrikaner, just with a weird surname. It is an unusual surname, David, for an Afrikaner. But hey, lots of people. I mean, lots of people. Like John Steenhuisen. What happened to Johan? Anyway, good morning. A bit concerned with colleagues. Okay, well, apparently that's stirring a lot of attention. Again, Robert Olivier, thank you for bringing it to my attention. We'll check into it. All right, let's get to the egregious things. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read this to you now, okay? So this is House Resolution 7256. Okay, I'm going to put it over here so you can see what it looks like, and then I'm going to read from it, okay? So here you go. So there's the screen, okay? Here we go. So this is House Resolution 7256. Let me zoom because that needs to be, I need to zoom. Here we go. Adobe Reader change. This is dated February 6, 2024. Okay. It requires a full review of the bilateral relationship between the United States and South Africa. That's what I'm reading from right now, folks. Okay, so here we go. All right. And it says Congress finds the following. The actions of the African National Congress, which since 1994 has held a governing majority and controlled South Africa's executive branch, are inconsistent with its publicly stated policy of non-alignment in international affairs. In contrast to its stated stance of non-alignment, the South African government has a history of siding with malign actors, including Hamas, a United States-designated foreign terrorist organization and a proxy of the Iranian regime, and continues to pursue closer ties with the People's Republic of China and the Russian Federation. The South African government's support of Hamas dates back to 1994 when the ANC first came into power, taking a hardline stance of consistently accusing Israel of practicing apartheid. Following Hamas's unprovoked and unprecedented horrendous attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, where Hamas terrorists killed or kidnapped hundreds of Israelis, members of the South African government, and leaders of the ANC have delivered a variety of anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli related statements and actions, including on October 7, 2023, South Africa's Foreign Ministry, Naledi Pandor, released a statement expressing concern of escalating violence, urging Israel's restraint in response, and implicitly blaming Israel for provoking the attack through continued illegal occupation of Palestinian land, continued settlement expansion, desecration of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Christian holy sites, and ongoing oppression of Palestinian people. On October 8, 2023, the ANC's national spokesman, Bengu Mutsiri, said the devastating Hamas attack, the decision by Palestinians to respond to the brutality of the settler apartheid regime, is unsurprising. That's an apologist for terrorism there. On October 14, 2023, President Ramaphosa accused Israel of genocide in statements during a pro-Palestinian rally. On October 17th, South African Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor accepted a call with Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. On October 22nd, South African Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor visited Tehran and met with President Raisi of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is actively funding Hamas. On November 7, 2023, in a parliamentary address, Foreign Minister Pandor called for the International Criminal Court to charge Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with war crimes. Never mind the fact that Israel is not a signatory to the Rome Statute and the ICC has zero jurisdiction over Israel. On November 17, 2023, South Africa, along with 4 other countries, submitted a joint request to the International Criminal Court for an investigation into war crimes being committed in the Palestinian territories. On December 29, 2023, South Africa filed a particularly motivated suit in the International Court of Justice, wrongly accusing Israel of committing genocide. The South African government has pursued increasingly close relations with the Russian Federation, which has been accused of perpetrating war crimes in Ukraine and indiscriminately undermines human rights. South Africa's robust relationship with Russia spans the military and political space, including allowing a United States-sanctioned Russian cargo ship, the Lady R, to dock and transfer arms at a South African naval base in December of 2022. Hosting offshore naval exercises entitled Operation Mosi II, carried out jointly between the People's Republic of China and Russia between the 17th of February and 27th February 2023, corresponding with the one-year anniversary of Russia's unjustified and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Authorizing a United States-sanctioned Russian military cargo airplane to land at a South African Air Force base, reneging on its initial call for the Russian Federation to immediately withdraw its forces from Ukraine, and actively seeking improved relations with Moscow since February 2022, and dispatching multiple high-level official delegations to Russia to further political, intelligence, and military cooperation. South African government's interactions with the People's Republic of China and the ANC interactions with the Chinese Communist Party, who are committing gross violations of human rights in the Xinjiang province and implement economically coercive tactics around the globe, undermine South Africa's democratic constitutional system of governance, as exemplified in an ongoing ANC and CCP inter-party cooperation, especially with the fundamental incompatibility between the civil and democratic civil rights in South Africa's constitution and CCP's routine suppression of the free expression and individual rights. The recruitment of former United States and NATO fighter pilots to train Chinese People's Liberation Army pilots at the Test Flying Academy of South Africa, which the Department of Commerce added to the entity list on June 12, 2023. The South African government has facilitated the training of Chinese fighter pilots in South Africa. And they're trying to pretend that they deserve $500 million a year of our money. South Africa's hosting of 6 People's Republic of China government-backed and CCP-linked Confucius Institutes, a type of entity that the Communist Party official characterized as an important part of the Communist Party's external propaganda structure. Their words, not ours. That's what the Communist Party said, that this is an important part of the Communist Party's external propaganda structure. That's the most of any of these organizations throughout the continent of Africa, 6 of them. South Africa's participation in a political training school opened in Tanzania, funded by the Chinese Communist Party, where it trains political members of the ruling liberation movements in 6 southern African countries. The school instills communist ideology into the next generation of African leaders and attempts to export the Communist Party system of party-run authoritarian governance to the African continent. Cooperation with the People's Republic of China under the Global Belt and Road Initiative, which, while trade and infrastructure focused, is designed to expand communist global economic, political, and security sector-related influence. And the widespread presence in South Africa of media and technology sectors, the communist state-linked firms that the United States has restricted due to threats to national security, including Huawei, ZTE, Hikvision, which place South African sovereignty at risk and facilitate the Communist Party's export of its model of digitally aided authoritarian governance underpinned by cyber controls, social monitoring, propaganda, and surveillance. The ANC-led South African government has a history of substantially mismanaging a range of state resources and has often proved incapable of effectively delivering public services, threatening the South African people and the South African economy. Notice they didn't say white people, it said South African people. As illustrated by President Ramaphosa's February 2023 declaration of a national state of disaster over the worsening multi-year power crisis caused by the ANC's chronic mismanagement of the state-owned power company, Eskom, resulting in endemic high-level corruption. The persistence of South African state-owned railway company Transnet's insufficient capacity, which has disrupted rail operations and hindered mining companies' export of iron ore, coal, and other commodities, in part due to malfeasance and corruption by former Transnet officials. An ongoing outbreak of cholera, the worst in 15 years, which is due in part to the South African government's disease prevention failures, as Ramaphosa admitted on June 9, 2023, including a failure to provide clean water to households. Now, that was in Hammanskraal and elsewhere, and that was true at the time that this act was put forward. And rampant state capture that emerged and grew during the administration of former President Jacob Zuma and has damaged South Africa's international standing and profoundly undermined the rule of law, continues to negatively impact the economic development, prospects, and living standards of South African people while deeply damaging public trust in state governance. Do you think this is about expropriation without compensation? No, it's about this egregious nonsense. Sense of Congress. It is the sense of Congress that, number one, it is in the national security interest of the United States to deter strategic, political, and security cooperation and information sharing with the People's Republic of China and the Russian Federation, particularly any form of cooperation that may aid or abet Russia's alleged illegal war of aggression in Ukraine or its international standing or influence. And the ANC's foreign policy actions have long ceased to reflect its stated stance of non-alignment and now directly favor the PRC, the Russian Federation, and Hamas, a known proxy of Iran, and thereby undermine the United States' national security and foreign policy interests. Not later than 30 days after the date of enactment of this act, the President, in consultation with Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense, shall certify to the appropriate congressional committees and release publicly an unclassified determination explicitly stating whether South Africa is engaged in activities that undermine United States national security or foreign policy interests. There you go. They were calling for a full bilateral relationship review. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why we're where we are now. That is why. That is why we're where we are now. Not because of expropriation, not compensation. That's just the straw that broke the camel's back. All right, so back to the chat here. I've read to you, that is a piece of legislation that the House of Representatives introduced last year, and it did not get through as law because Biden wouldn't sign it, and it wouldn't go through the Senate. Paul Ferrer says, support Afro as Afrikaners. Yes, Paul, but I asked a question because a lot of people are saying things about Afro-Reform that weren't pleasant here. It's crazy. Some say they're saying fight and other, what are you going to fight? Yeah. Hey, my surname is Italian, but I'm 70% Afrikaner, says Patrick. I think Kali had too many Clippies before. You might be right, Robert. Denny Janssen von Fuhren, the Colonel, for your contribution to our freedom. Well, you're very welcome. My pleasure. Good morning, Rita Ostosen says, and all my fellow Afrikaners, may our dreams come true. Well, my dream would be for people to be able to live in their homelands in peace and security and prosperity and worship in their own fashion, not harming others. Respect and protect their culture and get along with others. That's my dream. And prosperity for everyone. A chicken in every pot. Okay. Good morning, Crystal. Patrick told Chris, when this came out yesterday, I said the fights within Afrikaners will come. Yep, they will. We already saw it last night. You know, like guy trying to tell me, hey, I mean, I don't know what this guy's problem was. He just kept going on and on. And this, you know, kept looking for attention. I like your hat. Okay, well, I like my hat too. Thank you. So it started yesterday. This guy's, well, definitely kept putting definition of Afrikaner, and I answered it hours before, and I said, you know, it doesn't matter what your definition of Afrikaner is or what mine is. It's what the State Department returns. If the State Department says a one-handed monkey wrench wielding, you know, chimpanzee is an Afrikaner, or you know, a quagga, which is, you know, extinct, a quagga is an Afrikaner, then that's what an Afrikaner will be. For the sake of this resettlement program. So everybody needs to just chill and wait till they come up with a decision. All right, I'm not sure about that. What's this? Okay. No government can fix out there. Too many stupid people playing to... I don't know what Cobus is saying there. George says, I don't. Bless you. When we started our farm patrol, we asked Afro for help and how to start. They made an appointment with us, and they didn't pitch. Okay, George, come on. Let's be fair. So one person missed an appointment, and you're angry at Afro. That's look, George. I value you as a member here, but I'm going to call you out on that. Maybe there's more to the story, and you don't have enough characters in the text to share it. I really don't believe that you asked for their help, and they were supposed to show up, and one time they didn't show up. There's got to be more to that story. I've gone on patrols. Community patrols with Afro-Reform in Zeerust. And they worked well with people there. And they went to all neighborhoods, Indian, black, white, yep. And Road Wolf is saying Afro-Reform is not your friend. Anyway, I'm not going to get in this argument about Afro-Reform. I just put the poll up to see where you guys are at, okay? I will watch that video, though, since Robert Olivier brought it to my attention. Exactly, Robert Olivier. The NC said no land grab, so why'd you sign expropriation? There's no need to sign it. I mean, these are just the lies, folks. We'll get to the news here in a short, but those are the lies. Here's the truth. The government of South Africa has purchased 3.9 million hectares. That's a lot of land. So why do they have to expropriate land? Why? There's no need. It's just a lie. Ian Saunders, thank you for sacrificing your time for this out there. My opinion is the executive order is a nuance to prove that you've been, I agree. I just wish that it had been a little more carefully worded. I think you're trying to fire a shot across the bow. But I knew that this would put the Afrikaans speaking community in a problem. We had a lot of colored folks appear in here last night. What about us? What about us? What about me? What about me? And the Indians too. And rightly asking the question, hey, what about us? We've been getting shaft. But, for Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. Well, there is some clarity there. If you're an Afrikaner that lives in Namibia or Botswana, it doesn't cover you. You can't. Sorry, you're not allowed. You got to be in South Africa. But we'll have to wait and see what they come up with. Okay, guys? Okay. Oh, the DA, Zumbush, yeah, the DA. Oh, my goodness. Chris, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you, President Trump. Nice. Okay. What else? Morning, all this is expropriation stuff is indeed the last straw, but we Afrikaners said Senecal was the last straw. Yeah, exactly. Remember that? And people said Brendan Horner's murder was the last straw. Still going on. Land won't affect, okay, an Afrikaner identifying as an American, says Jacques. Howdy, Chris. This is your new slot. I like the hat. Looking good. No, I'm just, I got a little bit of nap earlier, and I want to update stuff. For the first time in like 3 weeks, Donald Trump hasn't given me 19 executive orders I have to address tonight. So just thought we'd try something new. And we've got quite the audience here. It's a Sunday morning, so good morning, folks all around the world. Welcome to you. All right, I'm going to close that poll. We got over 200 votes in that. So about over 2/3 of the votes say they support AfReform. So, okay, none of that. Let's move on from the AfReform topic, folks. Let's get on to what the media is lying about. First off, here's my favorite inconvenient youth. You guys know this guy, Slim Shady. This is the guy who's on Slim Fast or Ozempic. I'm not sure what it is, but he's really trimmed down. I'll tell you what, I've been bulking up, putting on some weight. Actually, I had somebody tell me yesterday, first time in my life, you're not skinny. I didn't claim to be skinny. I said I used to be skinny. So that was kind of off-putting. I'm going to have to get on the Ozempic or get on the Slim Fast meal or whatever this guy's on, and I'm not going to accuse him of having a certain virus. But anyway, this is my favorite Ozempic customer right here, none other than Juju Malema. All right, here's Juju Malema.
One, to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he...
Okay, so this moron, that's what he is, a moron. People think he's bright. He's not bright. This moron just says, we are going to expropriate land without compensation. There's nothing you can do about it. And then he says his misunderstanding of the act, which doesn't do that. Oh, dear God. Aidez-moi. I've got to download that, man. I got to make a video out of that. He doesn't understand. And the next thing out of his mouth is, we are going to take the land. He's got his shirt on. It says good lover or good love. Juju Malema, what a buffoon. The inconvenient youth himself. Well, I'll be making a video on that when I'm done. That's tonight's video. I'm going to point out the EFF's reaction to this. What a dumbass. What a complete moron. Hey, Matt Thompson, thanks for subscribing. I mean, honestly, I didn't make that up. That's exactly what he said. I played it right as he said it. We are going to take the land no matter what. It doesn't matter what you say or do. Donald Trump's misunderstanding. It's just a cosmetic thing. Talk about a snake in the grass. Well, Sunday Times reports, and it is Sunday, so let's get to that, folks. Sunday Times reports that thanks but no thanks. South Africa mulls compromise to appease Trump. Yeah. All right. Sunday Times understands that several proposals were made to the government this week in a series of meetings to discuss the crisis. They include making compromise in response to demands that have been made by the U.S. and its close ally. Okay, so I'm sorry. Who wrote this? Kogotatso Madisa Tabo Mokone and Sibogonkonke Shoba. You guys are full of horse manure. Are your eyes brown? Because you're full of shit. What demands have been made to South Africa? There's not a single demand been made. Not a single demand. There's no demand in this executive order. There's no demand in the press conference that Donald Trump gave on the tarmac and Andrews Air Force Base, and there's no demand in the tweet. It just said, we're not giving you money anymore. That's it. There's no demands here. Fake news. Fake news. Times Live, fake news. All right. So now this, I'm going to show you fake news. Robin Lee Frank, shame on you. Shame on you. Jacques de Coq, thank you for subscribing. Shame on you. Okay, if you're not a subscriber, folks, why don't you become one? Hit that subscription button and join us right here. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And
that was easy.
hit the like button. Give us some likes on this. That drives viewership. It really does make a difference. We are pushing on trying to get 35,000 today. That would be so awesome. All right, so AfriForum's U-turn. By the way, you might think, wow, 35,000, this channel must not been around very long. No, I've been around for 17, 18 years, something like that. But I was an intelligence officer, and I couldn't use my social media to do this because can't do that when you're an intelligence officer. That's what makes the whole nonsense. Oh, we have the proof. He's a CIA agent. Yeah, okay. I was prevented from using social media for 20 years because I was an intelligence officer. Now I'm retired. I can say what I want, and now you're going to accuse me of being one. Anyway, I have a low number of subscribers, but pretty big compared to recently, because of YouTube censorship and what's been going on. Thank you for sharing the channel, Darty. So this is what we call fake news. That was fake news from Times Live. Now I'm going to give you fake news from the toilet paper record. You guys know the toilet paper record, right? That's Iqbal Survey's Independent Online, which is anything but independent. All right, here we go. All right, so AfriForum's U-turn on white genocide. You see that? All right, so if you read that headline, then one would presume a cogent, lucid human being who is literate would expect to read an article in which the story tells you that AfriForum must have a position or have had a position on white genocide and why they've changed it, when they changed it, or maybe why they held that view. None of that is in this story because it's bullshit. Robin Lee Frankie. Now, to be fair, sometimes editors, and I know this as a published author, sometimes you don't get the headline, you write the article, and then the headline is written by your editor. So maybe it's not Robin's fault, but I wouldn't want my name attached to this because it's just propaganda. You ready for it? Here we go. All right, so here we go. Do a search. We got find in the page, okay? And I'm going to put genocide here. Okay, genocide. I'm going to hit every instance. There's the first instance. There's a super chat. Thank you for the super chat there, Ian Sounders. Appreciate that. Okay, so that's the first instance, right? Okay, because this article is telling you that they've done a U-turn on white genocide narrative. So that's in the title. Okay, we expect to find it there. And here it is. AfriForum and the Solidarity Movement have backtracked on the white genocide claims, publicly turning down President Trump's offer for refugees in the United States. Okay, that's the second instance. Okay, now that's the same article posted on the right-hand side of the page. And there it is again. Not one instance of the white genocide narrative anywhere in the story. This is fake news. This is propaganda. This is lazy. This isn't even journalism. This is garbage. Do you see that? Do you see that? Now, you can argue with me and say, well, no, Chris, but that's a legitimate story. It's not a legitimate headline. There's nothing in the story about white genocide. This is the media, just like Bell Pottinger lying about South Africa. And this is what I said when Willem Petzer told me I was naive. Cheekiness of that young man 5 years ago. You don't know what you're talking about. You're naive. You don't know what South Africa. Bullshit. You're full of shit. You're young and you're the one that's naive. I told him 5 years ago, and I told everybody, when you paint this in terms of white genocide, it is not factually true. Now, there's cultural genocide of Afrikaans. There's no doubt about that. The ANC is trying to stamp out Afrikaans. They hate the language, and they're going to oppress it at every turn. You notice it's not in government documents anymore. I had a document in Zulu and English. When the hell did Zulu become an official language that was in documents? It used to be isiXhosa and Afrikaans and English, but initially it was English and Afrikaans. So there is a cultural genocide, but there's no genocide of human beings. There's nothing even comes remotely to that. So you don't tell that story. You tell the truth. White South Africans are the victims of racial violence, and that's true. There you go. There you go. So there you go. That's fake news, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here's some more fake news, and I'll tell you why it's fake news, okay? And don't call me a hypocrite, because I do use images that are old, but I use them to illustrate a point. They are a newspaper, and they have an obligation when they publish something online or in print or in a magazine to tell you what the image is of, okay? So, ill-advised and misguided. Political parties react to Donald Trump's latest executive order by Amanda Koza. Okay, that seems reasonable, and there is some truth there. Some political parties have said this. But let's look at what the photograph they showed to give the false impression to the reader that these parties have all said this and that this event just occurred. They've all gotten together. You ready? Do you see that photograph? There's Herman Mashaba. There's Peter Gerdewald, John Steenhuisen, Velenkoni Rabisa, and the list goes all the way down. You see that? Leaders of political parties in South Africa have slammed Donald Trump's latest executive order. They give the source. It's from Twitter, Our DA, which is where it came from. But ladies and gentlemen, that photograph, you see that? I've blown up a little bit there. Blow up a little bit more there for you, okay? Do you see that? And this is Kenneth Mishwe, the UCDP on the left-hand side. That photograph, does anybody know when that photograph was taken? I do, because I was there. Does anybody know when that photograph was taken? No, Michelle, not under the legal definition of what genocide is under the UN Convention. That's what we're talking about here. And when you give them quibble space, they use it, and that's what's defeated the whole thing. And that's why it went nowhere, instead of stating what's actually happening. White South Africans are a target of racial violence, some of it orchestrated by syndicates, and that's a fact. Yep. So that photograph right there, not you're close on, Bush. It's not last year, it's the year prior. That photograph is from 2023. And that photograph, ladies and gentlemen, is at the multi-party charter at Kempton Park, Emperor's Palace. I was there. And when that photograph was taken, I was standing about 20 feet away. That is at Kempton Park. He had his active Virgin membership then. Yeah, there you go. That's what that is. So look, the story has truth to it, but putting the photograph up gives the reader the impression that these parties just got together because they're so angry about this. That's not what happened. They approached multiple parties for their position, and that's what they should have said. Or they should have used that photograph, which is perfectly fine, but indicate here are some opposition parties that were meeting to form the multi-party charter to oust the ANC in August of 2023. That's what that should say. That's what that should say. There you go. So more fake news. I've given you fake news from Times Live, fake news from the Toilet Paper Record, and now fake news from News 24. All three fake news. So now let's go on to fake news' editorial on it. It's in Johannesburg. No, it's not. It's at Emperor's Palace. All right, so editorial. Trump lies will not divide South Africa. We must determine our own destiny. This is the editors of Propaganda 24. Trump's shocking executive order issued Friday night, which cuts all American funding to South Africa, is predicated on a fundamental untruth that the recently signed Expropriation Act is to enable the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. This is complete falsehood, likely based on years of propaganda peddled by the likes of AfriForum and Solidarity without seriously considering the consequences of their deceitful actions. History will show the price thousands of AIDS patients, doctors, and clinics will now pay, courtesy of the lies peddled by people like Ernst Rhodes, Kali Kriel, and the disgruntled former South African Elon Musk. Agri SA CEO Johan Kutze represents 14,000 farmers. And the lies being peddled here by Propaganda 24, their inability to read modern standard written English, and why this is happening. I just read to you the House resolution, all of the ones that the Congress, and there's much more than that. That's just what Congress put together last year. Recent insults to America and our national security. And right there, South Africa has taken an aggressive position towards the United States and its allies, accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide in the International Court of Justice and reinvigorating relations with Iran to develop commercial, military, and nuclear arrangements. It isn't about expropriated compensation. That's one reason. You see how dishonest these people are. Useless. The editors, and that's Adrian Basson and his clown car of little fools. Yep, clown car of little fools. Wow. Complete falsehood. It's not a complete falsehood. Saying that you can't seize people's land without compensation. It's not a falsehood. They're liars. They're absolute liars. And I can prove it to you. All you have to do is read the act. Here it is, folks. Here's the act. This is right out of the document itself, and I've just highlighted it for everyone to see. There you go. And I'll tell you, and once again, land can be seized without compensation. There's no question about it. These people are lying to you every moment they open their mouths. There it is, Section 5 of the Expropriation Act. Where the land is not being used and the owner's main purpose is not to develop the land or use it to generate income, but to benefit from appreciation of its market value, it may be just and equitable for nil compensation to be paid. Well, you're not paying anything. That's zero. When a court or arbitrator determines the amount of compensation in terms of Section 23 of the land reform, it may be just and equitable for no compensation to be paid, having regard to all relevant circumstances. So you're going to tell me, News 24, that they won't take land without compensation? Then why is it called the Expropriation Without Compensation Bill? People are morons. They actually think people are dumb enough to fall for this. Well, a segment of South Africa's population and the liberal media are dumb enough to fall for it. American intelligence knows something we don't. I suspect the ANC's plans are more sinister than we can imagine. Well, I have nothing to support that. Dollar versus Iran, 1841. Exactly, Dusty. Taken in the Moonshot Pact meeting. I was there. I was a journalist. I was accredited. I covered it. So they think they're going to get over with me. I mean, if I'm an American, I'm reading that story, and I had never been to South Africa, and I saw that, and I see all those opposition parties there, and there's no explanation of the date and time and where it occurred, my presumption would be that, wow, they just got together. They must really be upset about this. And they may very well be upset about it. But it's very dishonest. It's fake news. Fake news. Fake news. Yeah, they're all shills for globalism. Yep. It reads like something written by the German National Socialist Party about parts of their population. Yep. We have the same issues here with the media lies in all forms. Yep. What they don't tell you is that all judges are put in place by the ANC. Correct. And all arbitrators are appointed by the ANC. So I'll run through the scenario like I did yesterday. All right. You own property. We'll go with land since that's what everyone's freaking out about, not just your pension funds. You own property. So they decide, a government official, they want your property in the public interest. So they make you an offer. It's worth 30 million rand. Here's 5 million rand. No, thank you. I'm enjoying my game ranch here. I employ 40 people. We're conserving wildlife. A lot of people enjoy coming here from all over the world in South Africa. I'm not going to sell. So they come back and say, you're going to sell. No, I don't want to sell. Well, now they can expropriate your land without compensation. So they give you a letter and take it. Or if you go to try to fight them, then it goes to a court. Who appoints the judges? The ANC. Who do they owe their loyalty to? Luthuli House. Who are they going to rule in favor of? Luthuli House. And expropriate your farm, either for nothing or for a trivial amount. And if it doesn't go to a judge, they appoint an arbitrator to deal with it because they're swamped in the courts. Then you want a faster result. Who appoints the arbitrator? The government. Who pays the arbitrator? The government. Who are they going to rule in favor of? The government. The landowner has no power in this relationship. It's a complete abuse of political authority. And we've seen it already with Ackerland. And we've seen Propaganda 24 try to lie about Ackerland Brewery, saying, well, it was never expropriated. Well, of course it wasn't expropriated because you used the heavy hand of the law and the threat of expropriation to force them to sell so they got something. Otherwise, we got nothing. They sold that place for 80 million rand. And like, oh, contrary to what the left and the AfriForum say and others, and it wasn't AfriForum, it was Saki, but contrary to that, Ackerland Brewery was never expropriated. In fact, they got 4 times what the government offered them. Yeah. But who are you to take them sell? And oh, by the way, in the public interest, has it been turned into productive farmland? Did someone take over the game ranch? No. The land was sold to a coal mining company headquartered in Australia, with the majority of its members being Chinese nationals. Wow. It's interesting that now, isn't it? The Coal for Africa Group. Yes. It's a Chinese shill company based in Australia. I'm even aware they're even mining coal from there. Yeah. Isn't that fascinating, folks? Fascinating how that came down. Interesting. No mention of that. No mention of that. So let me go find those documents. I'll find them very quickly here because that's in my other video for those who missed it. Not everybody watched that video. What's that? Somebody subscribe. Thank you, Alta Fundum Eva, for subscribing. Let me find this really quickly here. I know I've got it, these images. Just take me a moment to find them. Come on. There we go. Okay, there. Okay, here you go. So got it. Okay. All right. So here is the company. All right. So they have renamed themselves. The Coal of Africa are now MC Mining Limited. And you can see it still says company details Coal of Africa Limited. So here you go. This is the company that used the threat of expropriation to basically defraud the owners of the Ackerland Brewery or force them to sell it. And who cares if they got 80 million rand? You can't force people to sell land just because you want it. So this is what happened. This is what will happen in South Africa with expropriation without compensation. And they'll try to mealy-mouth you and lie to you about what did and didn't happen. MC Mining Limited, 96 Elizabeth Street, Suite 324, Melbourne. There's the URL, mcmining.co.za. Why does a mining company based in Australia have a web address in South Africa? South Africa is not exactly the world's internet hosting site. Why would you have a domain.za if you are an Australian company? Even more interesting about this company, Coal of Africa, is the following, ladies and gentlemen. Here are the members of the board. An Chi Sin, and if you look An Chi Sin up, you'll find that An Chi Sin is a Chinese national. He Shen, Chinese national. Yi He, Chinese national. And then we've got a South African, Oneteretse Matthew Sinosi, Bill Pavlovsky, who I believe is Australian, if I'm not mistaken, and Multi Huang. So look at that. 50% of the board is comprised of Chinese nationals for a coal company based in Australia, and every single one of its mines, 4 of which it gets coal from, are not in Australia, which is a coal producer, but in South Africa. And they're the company that purchased the land that was taken from Ackerland Brewery when they were pressured by the government with expropriation. Now tell me how that is even legitimate. I don't want to hear any more shit and garbage out of the ANC or any of these people in the fake media lying about what's going on here. This is why this is so dangerous. Sacrosanct is what private property rights are. You never violate private property rights, or you have the Soviet Union. You have Nazi Germany. You have Imperial Japan. You have South Africa. That's what you have. Or Zimbabwe. So, what did I miss there? What did I miss? Somebody want to tell me? Cape Independence and will be rich and prosperous, says Pablo. Brandfog, what's that, Picky? People do not take the time to fact check fake news. 99% is a government mouthpiece. Yep, Yako. And that's why I was so open to attacks, and people came after me so often. They hit me hard. Oh, this guy, yeah, because they just can't handle the truth. Maybe you should make an educational video on how to make common sense great again. Yeah, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Farmers may stop farming now, Joe says. Hey, there's a super chat. Thank you for that, Miss B. All the members of the parties union are tainted by this, not just they sold their voters. Well, you can make that argument. I'm not going to make that statement 100% yet. I need to see more actions. The Freedom Front Plus has come out in defense of farmers. So, and I covered that yesterday. All right, you're addressing a very important point, says Adela. And I do it all the time, Adela. I've pointed it out all the time. But no one else has brought you this story. If someone else brought you this story about coal of Africa, and not even the folks that have talked about what happened to Ackerland even brought it in that light. No one took the time. Elizabeth Delray, Sayad Komyadi Brewer. Yeah, yeah, I haven't seen it. If it's out there, maybe it's out there, but I haven't seen it. I didn't find it. I came up with this research on my own. I did the research. Why do you want me to Google that? It really is inconvenient to do this, but I'll do it. Farm, AASVAF, farm. Leggings. Is this a... Oh, that's the place it was expropriated. Yeah. A Gauteng government letter confirms 3 times that Plaswerk Beleggings was expropriated with no compensation. Yep, there you go. Yep. Yep, there you go. There's the proof right there. Thank you for that. I got it. Yep. Now, they're trying to quibble and saying that this was done in terms of the 1975 Act. Who cares? It was done by the ANC government. It was done by the ANC government. It wasn't done in 1975. Was it? What's the date on this? Well, there was no Gauteng in 1975, so it definitely wasn't that. I'm looking for a date on this, but yeah. Yep. Yep. So, I mean, that's what the left does. That's what communists do. They quibble. Well, no, this was under the 76 law. We had to change that law because it was a apartheid government. It doesn't matter. You expropriated without compensation. You lied about it. You lied about it. So there's the proof right there. There's the receipts right there. I'll read through it and we'll make a video on that. I already got to do one on Juju. Let's make one on that. I'll put that in that video. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yep. All right, so where were we at here? I'm a little further back than I wanted to be. So we've exposed 3 media outlets in South Africa as perpetrating fake news today. Everyone has Gupta's this, Gupta that, while the Chinese bought everything. Yep. Every time there's load shedding and they say it's because there's no coal, I wonder because the coal goes to China. Well, and the coal they sell to South Africa's power plants oftentimes is a bunch of painted rocks in it. Yep. Yep. Just listen to Chris. Of course, they will come with bullshit fake news about what we are not taking without taking. Yeah, exactly. Beware of the comrades. Yep. Well, the Cape Independents will become competitors. Holy smokes. Yeah, holy smokes is right. Holy smokes is right. Holy smokes. Tell people about this. I got a video on it. I have a video on that. Let me find that video. I did it the other day. Which one was that? Around the fire. I think it's the yeah, I think that's the one. I think it's in this one here. I've done so many videos, I'm starting to lose track of where I said it. I think it was in this one here. That I think is the video where I show the Australian / South African / Chinese company there. In 2020. Thank you, Maddie. That's when it occurred. Make orange greater again. Chris, I think the latest YouTube videos after form wasn't a good strategy. I haven't seen it. 66 MBRM. Robert Olivier brought it to my attention. Other people agree. I'm going to have to watch it and see what they said. My neighbors laugh at me, cursing in Afrikaans and shoveling snow. I'll take it. Bill, refugees in America get financial assistance for a year. Refugees. Not immigrants, but refugees. Yep. At least some young farmers will take up. Yeah, no, there'll be some farmers that take up. They'll just stay here. Yep. It's going to cripple South Africa's agriculture industry but maybe not because they already can't work in South Africa anyway. Joseph Hayes, Chris, is it at all legal for this crowd to have registered South Africa as a business in USA? Joseph Hayes, your question means nothing to me. What crowd, what business is registered in USA? I can't answer a question when you haven't asked a question. I can't answer it. It's a mistake to focus on land. It's a decoy. Yes, Charmaine, I know. And watch what I've said for years. It's about property. It's about property. It's about property. Oh, you like the title, Lying Dog-Faced Pony Soldier. That's a new one. Yeah, I've told people this for a long time. I mean, look, I appreciate you guys coming in here, but I didn't hear anybody using social media to make the argument. Well, there are a couple people, but I've been the one to telling you all along it's about property. Everyone's focused on land. It's about property. They're going to come for your pension funds. They're going to come for other things. I guarantee it. That's what this is about ultimately. It's also about abusing people, using the government to threaten you if you speak out against the government of the day. So let me go get this. I'll bring it up again. I need to put these in a separate file because now they're starting to pile up these graphics that I've been making about the Section 80 challenge, about the Constitution, about eligibility for AGOA. So here it is. It's perfectly clear. I mean, I had to just put this. This is right out of the South African Constitution. These aren't my words. And I've been telling people this forever. So here you go. There you go. Property. At the bottom. Section 25 of South Africa's Constitution, promulgated and implemented by a majority black government in 1996. Section 25, paragraph 4, B. Property is not limited to land. Property is not limited to land. There you go. Yep. Carol wants to know if your nursing degree or diploma will, well, it depends. One thing that the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Australia have been doing for the past 3 decades is raping Africa of its nurses. From Nigeria to Ghana to Kenya to South Africa, your nurses are all working abroad. You know, there's an old saying that there's more Malawian physicians working in Manchester in the United Kingdom than there are in all of Malawi. At one time, that was a true statement. I suspect it probably is true now. Because the brain drain, people leave, not just white folks, but all folks, because Africa is such a problematic and difficult place to live with capricious governance and with, all kinds of issues. So people go abroad where they can make a living. And so I don't know the status of your degree, where you got it from, what your experience is, but there's always a shortage of nurses in America. I could open up a newspaper today, Sunday, and find in the advert section, hiring for jobs, you'll find dozens of requests for LPNs, licensed practical nurse, registered nurses, RNs, and the list goes on and on. There's always jobs for nurses. Now, whether it's the pay you want, well, trust me, the pay's a lot more than you'll get there, but you'll also get a lot more responsibility and a lot more be expected of you than in Africa. Nursing in Africa is not the same as in America. Nursing in America, nurses have a lot more responsibility and authority than they do. In fact, oftentimes I'll see the doctor for 5 minutes or less, and I'll spend more time with the nurse or the nurse practitioner than I will with the doctor. So I don't have an answer for you on that. But we don't care what it doesn't matter. You all got to get out of this. I'm telling people this over and over again. Quit worrying about your skills. If you're interested in this refugee program, we don't give 2 shakes of a cat's ass what your skills are. They don't matter. Refugee doesn't matter whether you're a physician or a carpet cleaner, a waitress, a farmer, a long-haul truck driver. No one cares. No one cares. It's not about what skills you bring. This isn't Canada where we're racist and keep people out based only, let them come in on their skills and then claim we're so generous and wonderful we let the world in our doors. Canada are a bunch of liars. Their immigration policy is very bigoted and against the poor. Refugee lets anybody in. It doesn't matter if you're 92 or you're 12 or you're 2. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. All right, so please stop worrying about that. Yeah, last night I had all these people. Well, I mean, I can bring this. I can make it great. It doesn't matter. No one cares. If you apply and you say, well, I want to be an American. I love America. I love Trump. Nobody gives a flying flip. You can even say that I don't really like America, but I'm desperate to get out. No one cares. It's not about that, guys. A refugee is not an immigrant. That's correct, Zombash. An immigrant has to prove that they have a reason for being here, that they can contribute and add something. Refugee is just the generosity of the American people letting you come into our country because you've been abused elsewhere. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. That's why Trump did it. Sell your property for Bitcoin, says Ahmed. Yes, prescribed investments. They're coming from pension funds. Yep. If you don't have a better plan, okay. Elon Musk will shift major corporations. Okay. I'm from USA, sold a property in 2024, and the bank seized the funds. I'm still fighting it. Why did the bank seize your funds, Sean? You're living in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Why did they seize your funds? Mr. Sergeant Duck says, thank you. You're very welcome. And thank you for that, Chris. Hi, Chris Holmes in from Arizona, Australia. Excuse me. Oh, yep. Speaking of Australia, Pumlani says, "Are we breaking Rand 20?" Oh yeah, you will. You will. That's coming. ANC is always okay. Okay, now I really have to go to work. I'm a court transcriber, so I have to listen. Okay, all right. Take care, Maddie. Thanks for being here. They want the pension funds. Yep. From what I understand, people don't like our firm now because they think it's best for Afrikaners to stay. Okay, I'm not doing the Afrikaner conversation. We've done it, or the Africa Forum conversation. We've done it already. Holden's back. Nice oilskin hat. You like that? You like that? Right. Ken looked confused. There's no way you can get in. No, because it's biased against people who want to come there. It's not a system that's generous. The Economist, when I was still serving an active duty, ran an article when Trump came in office and said, "Oh, look how Canada does immigration right. America doesn't." So what a bunch of horsemen are. So the United States, and I've done this over and over again, ladies and gentlemen, for my longtime listeners, this won't come as a surprise to you, and I deal in facts. You can look it up. It's on the internet. The number of people that are naturalized as American citizens every year. Anybody want to guess? Now, my real audience probably knows, so I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to start a poll. On average, okay. All right. Hang on, I'm going to give you a poll here, okay? All right, so there you go. There's the poll. On average, how many people... Now, understand, these are people that every year we allow to take the oath after they meet the standards and they've stayed for residency. They're not criminals. They've taken the oath. They've taken the test to be an American citizen, and they pay the fees to become an American citizen. Every year, how many people become American citizens and therefore become eligible and receive an American passport as a consequence of our naturalization process? Canada can't even hold a candle to this. Also, we take in anywhere from 50 to 300,000 refugees every year. Now, Turkey does the same, so we can't beat Turkey. We're not trying to. And we let 30, 40 million people come into this country every year who are not American citizens. We also have over 600,000 foreign students in our country right now, if I'm not mistaken. So anyone take a guess here, all right? So the poll's up. On average, now it's a country of 330 million people. Think about this. Think about this. How many people on average? Now, the average I picked is lower than it actually is, all right? And this is over the Obama, the Trump, and the Biden administrations, the past 3 administrations. Okay. Need somehow to separate my worries and admittedly fear from work this week. Please do, Patrick. I already have skills that I can get a job with. It's a piece of paper that says I'm legal in America. Exactly, Erwin. Amanda, so you're right about the level of anger amongst the general pack population. The hate and disdain are amping up, and for the Afrikaners, that stays, it will become worse. And that was my concern. Amanda, I expressed that last night, did I not? I warned people to be very careful. It was one of my first concerns, to be cognizant of where you're at all times. So the poll is up, 84 votes. We got 400 people. Come on, let's vote in that poll, folks. No one knows your results. It's not like you're going to be embarrassed if you get it right or wrong. Okay, Ken has been renamed. Yes, I know, Slippery Pickle. Yaku Basson says, if they don't walk their entire ideology back, we will replay this. Yes, exactly right. Went around Botswana last year and met many South Africans of all races saying they were never going back. Well, there are 2 people who are South Africans from PE who currently live in Gaborone. Lezan and her husband live there, Drian. They moved there, and when I first started broadcasting in 2020, they asked for my advice because I used to live in Gaborone, lived in Botswana. And they asked for my advice, and I told them my advice, and they checked it out, and they thought my advice was sound, and she took a job there, and then he started a job there with his old business in South Africa, and then started his own business, and they're very happy. I mean, Botswana is not perfect, but boy, it's a hell of a lot better than South Africa. And now that we've got that clown, Eric Masisi out of office, it's much better. Josie Jumpy Castle's back. Altruism. Chris said in a previous video that we had 2 weeks to submit an objection. We had 30 days. 30 days. 2 weeks had already expired. Okay. 1/3, yeah. Well, no. Okay, come on. Okay, Josie. Okay. It's not 1/3. Okay, I'm going to correct that. Thank you for going here. Okay. Right. Okay. So let me. I don't want people to get the wrong information. So Josie Jumping Castle. Let's get the facts, okay? And I'll show you what we're talking about here, right here. It's called a Section 80 challenge to the law. Any law that goes before Parliament can be challenged by members of Parliament in opposition if they don't like the way the law is done. So a Section 80 challenge, the only party that said that they're pursuing this is the Freedom Front Plus. And the media is covering the story up. They're not talking about it. I only saw one mention of this. I contacted Dr. Peter Groenewald to confirm whether they're going forward with the Section 80 challenge and other members of the Freedom Front Plus. So this is what the DA is betraying its voters by not mentioning this possibility. Now, there's a wrinkle in this because I'll explain why. But this is a Section 80 challenge to any law, not just this one. Application by members of the National Assembly to the Constitutional Court, Section 80 of the Constitution, Paragraph 1. Members of the National Assembly may apply to the Constitutional Court for an order declaring that all or part of an act of Parliament is unconstitutional when an application must be supported by at least 1/3 of the members of the National Assembly. That's 400 members, means you need 132, and it must be made within 30 days of the date on which the President assented to and signed the act. So, if, in fact, Cyril Ramaphosa signed the legislation on January 23rd, you have until about February 20th or 21st or 22nd, whatever 30 days is, in order to get this letter before the Constitutional Court, and then the Constitutional Court can rule on it. They can put an immediate stay on it. They can freeze it so no action can be taken, or they can declare right there it's null and void, it's not constitutional. Or they can stay and say we're going to adjudicate this and to take their time looking at it for legality of it in regards to Section 25 of the Constitution. Any legitimate, cogent, lucid human being will see Section 25, which says that you cannot take land without just and equitable compensation, to know that nil compensation is not just and equitable, and they will declare it unconstitutional. However, if this is not done within 30 days, then you have to appeal to a court, and then it goes to another court, and it goes to the Supreme Court of Appeal, the Constitutional Court, and it could take 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and by then the economy is completely obliterated, and property is stolen, pensions are raided, and the country just falls into complete DRC, Zimbabwe-like status. So that's the problem, and your political parties are betraying you. Your members of Parliament, not a single one of these people, except for the Freedom Front Plus, has stepped forward and said anything about this. Now, the wrinkle in all of this is that I have sources in South Africa who indicate to me, and I was the person that broke this story, that supposedly Cyril Ramaphosa signed the legislation actually on the 20th of December. He failed to notify the public. Section 81 of the Constitution requires, and I think I have that too. Let me see if I have that here. Section 81. Is that it? No, that's not it. That's not it. I got a little further here. I think I have Section 81 here. I'm just looking to see. It requires that the government must publicly publish this in a prompt fashion. So let me see if this is it here. Hang on. No, that's about Tembe Simelane. Tembe Simelane. I thought that I put it here somewhere. Apparently I didn't. Okay, my apologies. Yeah, I'll put that in a sheet at some point. But yeah, I don't have it here. I thought I did. Yeah, so I have the information. But Section 81 of the Constitution requires that it be published promptly. Well, 35 days is not promptly, particularly when the opposition only has 30 days in which to respond. The legality of it. So, if you wait 35 days, that's clearly an effort to subvert the law. Therefore, if I were a judge, and I have been a judge, if I were a judge and this were brought before me, without even consulting precedents, I would argue that this expropriation without compensation is frozen. You cannot enact the tenets of this law until it's reviewed by the Constitutional Court, because the president clearly intended to circumvent the Constitution, Section 80, by not publicly disclosing this until 35 days later. Now, if that's not true, you still have until late February to get something done. And not anybody is telling you this in South Africa. Why is that? Ask yourself this question, folks. You don't believe me? Look at your Constitution. It's online. Download it. Look it up. Read Section 80 of the Constitution. I'm not making this up. Read Section 81 about the prompt reporting of an act disclosed to the public once it's signed. This isn't made up. This isn't propaganda. This isn't misunderstanding. This is no dog in the fight. These are simply facts. They're cold, hard facts that they don't want to tell you about, that they don't want to admit to. All right, so we got 158 votes. All right, now I'm going to go back to the poll and tell you what's going on in the poll. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for this. All right, on average, how many people are naturalized U.S. every year? 35% said 200,000, 24% said 400,000, and 20% said 750, and 19 said 50,000. Ladies and gentlemen, each and every year, on average, you can look it up. The information is available online. See, that's the difference between me and these clowns who don't know what the hell they're doing, and they just, they glom on to get a YouTube channel, and people are like, ooh, he's telling us what we want to hear. Let's listen to him. I bring you the facts. All right? So, 750,000 on average. 750,000 people become American citizens every single year, taking an oath to support and defend the Constitution. These are people from Gaza, from Tanzania, from South Africa, from Kyrgyzstan, from China, from Korea, from the Philippines, from all over the world. 750,000. Yet we are called a systemically racist country when 85% of those are people of color from all over the world. What a crock of horse manure. 750,000 people on average every year. 750,000. How many people is South Africa naturalized every year? 2,000, maybe? All right, let's go back. The chat has gotten busy here while I was doing all that. Okay, so, wow, yes, okay. Or Botswana may be a decent alternative. Yes and no, Pumlani. The Botswana has a long tradition of being a multi-party democracy led by one party, but now they finally have a different party. But the problem is that they were ruled by a tyrant for a few years named Eric Masisi, who succeeded Ian Khama. It was a disaster for Botswana, particularly the lockdown, and people suffered immensely. But if you have skills in Botswana, it's a small market. If you come with an idea, you can latch onto it, build yourself a huge market share, and have a very good living in Botswana. Quality of life is pretty good. Yeah, so, and you're close to South Africa if you need something. Namibia is a lovely place, but it's pretty far away. Very small population clustered in different areas. Most of Botswana's 85% of Botswana's population is a narrow strip from Gaborone to Francistown, so it's all pretty much within a 4-hour driving distance. You hit 85% of the population, whereas Namibia's population is clustered all over the country: Windhoek, Rehoboth, and then Swakopmund, and then up north, so Okahanja. So it's beautiful, but that's more of a communist bent because it's led by a liberation party, and they also just stole an election, according to the opposition, and there's a lot of merit to that argument. My understanding, after the initial process, you can. What's this? Are they able to abuse private annuity funds? Yes, of course they are. It's property. That's property. I have skills. Okay. I need somehow. Okay. You were right about the level of anger. Okay. That's where I was at. Okay. Junk and Josie. So I just did that. So that's a correct information. Josie, appreciate your sharing that, but those are the facts. Okay. Donnie says, regardless of what that form says, there's still South Africans that would like to read. Yes, you are correct. I work remotely from South Africa. Without that work, I would be screwed. I am an American citizen, newly married to South African husband who is living in South Africa with him. I can't believe this. Hey, Darty. Anel, welcome to you. And Peaky says, plenty of work here for South Africans. We're not scared of hard work. It pays off. Yep, sure does. Holden Caulfield said, okay, Sean, now they say they will release the funds if I'm a permanent resident. Well, South African banks can't do that. That's illegal. So work for Maniac when I went to the UK. Made good money. I don't mind working hard. Okay. Ruvani says, the South Africa's lost thanks to ANC. I care about America too much to care about saving a couple statues, preserving our heritage. Okay. All right. Alice McGee said, okay. The wrath against minorities by blacks has been turned up. Yes, Joe, and I warned about that, and you have nothing to do with it. Question about people who don't believe in the ANC. My family is extremely mixed. What does this mean for the rest of us who've been affected by the Zimbabwe? Well, Wendy, that's a difficult question to answer since you didn't tell me enough. What it means is if you qualify under the current definition, which is undefined, of an Afrikaner who's being racially discriminated against, then you can come to America under the refugee program as soon as they establish conditions, standards, and the date for it. I will tell you that that will be a much broader definition than Afrikaner because it has to be defined. Anybody can come to an Afrikaner, so they're going to have to define what that is. I think it'll include coloreds, Indians, and whites eventually. I watched this guy earlier. It's very mad. What guy? Oh, Brett says, check out. I did. Yeah, no, I saw that, but I made a video, but I'm not going to get in a pissing contest with a guy that's got over 1 million subscribers because his trolls will just come here and attack the channel all the time. You want to go watch Roland Martin. The guy's so full of shit. His eyes are brown. It's unbelievable what he is saying there, the lies he's perpetrating. I made a video and I just refuted all the stuff. He called all white South Africans racist. I mean, that's just racism right there, bigotry beyond the pale. What is the oldest age to apply in the Army where my kids want to apply? 34. And if you're at 34, you're pushing. The only reason they consider you at 34 now, and you have to be in the Army before you're 34, or before your 35th birthday. The only reason is because we're so desperate for people to come to the military right now. The GNU has proven to us through their actions what they really stand for. I agree. Amanda says, if the Khoisan communities create their own police just after the Landbrook, what's this? Doesn't know local conditions, has never been here. I'll give the colonel props for that. He's seen what's happening firsthand. Yeah, that guy doesn't know anything. Only fools can agree that this is a good thing. What's that? What's a good thing? Oh, you mean the expropriation. Hey, Renell, how's it going? Chris, how do you apply for refuge with animals? Angie, I don't have the answer for that. But according to someone who's gone through the refugee process, it was on here yesterday, you can bring your pets. But I'll tell you, bringing pets to America's a lot easier than taking them to South Africa. Taking my pets to Botswana was a freaking nightmare because of South African health authorities. It cost me way too much money to take my cats to Botswana and get them out of there. Yeah, the Khoisan knows exactly in the coming months what will happen. Yeah, they thought they were sneaky, Michelle. You're right. Brett gave a $1.09 super chat and says Roland Martin hates Trump's South Africa policy. Going mad on YouTube. Well, he's got 1 million people to follow him. He's making money. That's why he's doing it. He probably doesn't believe in anything he says. The fight is start Tula. What's that mean? What Tula? What's the mean? Olivia. A judge African or similar. I was a military judge for summary court martials, and yeah, so I'm currently a judge of elections, but that's not judge in a legal sense. That's adjudicator. Heidi, the DA and ANC are two sides of the same coin. They just wear different color T-shirts. The DA behavior. Yep. And people are so selfish they don't think of their children's future. Yep. They hit it. Annabelle says, okay, you're reading from the Bible. Colonel, you need to understand Sophists think they're super smart by being skeptical of everything, but they don't know what they're talking about. Extremely ignorant people, says Horwolf. I'm not going to confirm what you said, but I said I certainly understand that point of view. Timothy Crowley, morning, everyone. I am pissed at AfriForum for what they said. How can they choose what offers we want and don't? Again, I have to watch that video. And I'll let Collie know that that was a bad mistake if he did it. Okay, so the chat jumped ahead of me there. Was a total guess, says Patrick, at 200,000. Okay, and then Jeannie, welcome to you. Trump is not an idiot. You're right. Never thought in my life I will see what greed can do to a country. Well, yeah, we've seen it all over Africa since liberation. Look how the Congo was destroyed. You should see the photographs. Go back and watch the video if it's still on this channel or it's on the other channel. I think it's on the other channel of at Real Chris Wyatt when I interviewed Nigel and Erica about growing up in the Congo. And the photographs of the towns, how beautiful, immaculate the streets were, the robots working, the police, whistling people through. It was wow. And then it's just been a total cesspool ever since then. And you can just carry that across from there to Nigeria to all the places. It's just insane. Okay. Botswana is a very good option, says Michelle. Last year, the average was 818,000, says Valerie. You're talking about the number of people that were naturalized. Well, that wouldn't be an average. That would be the total from last year. That's not an average. I said an average. Average means that you've got the low year, the high year, you divide it by the number of years, and my rough estimate was 750,000. Last year, if you're picking the average last year, that would be over a period of time, if that's a number from last year. But the point is that we naturalize more than the rest of the world combined, and we're called systemically racist. It's bullshit. Germany's going on about AfriForum. Okay, we're not talking about that. And Taryn Blum has just subscribed. Thank you for that. Okay. And Ronell's just giving the ages. That the Navy is 41. You really can enlist the Navy at 41 years old? That I find shocking. Yeah, the Army is 34. So I'm not where you're getting that from. Yeah, way too old for that. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm not getting involved in that Roland Martin discussion. That's, there's nothing to be gained for me there. Yvonne Vonderwalt says, appreciate it. God bless it. Welcome, double streaming Chris and Dreekus. Oh, is the fight going on now? It won't last long. I come back to South Africa about every 6 months, but it's been a long break for me this time because it's too expensive. I mean, I self-fund. I don't have, unlike a lot of these people that are shiny pennies that you all watch and you watch their stuff, they've got people that are paying for them to do what they're doing, people that back them for slick graphics and pay them salaries and, give them studios and equipment. Every single thing that I use here is purchased with my own funds. I've made a little bit of money from YouTube, but it doesn't even begin to cover my cost. I pay for my own flights. I pay for my own hires. I pay for my own petrol. Depending on the trip, sometimes I pay for almost none of my lodging or I pay for almost all my lodging. Just depends because people offer accommodation. Sometimes they take it up. Sometimes it isn't convenient. I pay for all my flights in South Africa. I typically fly 6 to 8 different flights while I'm in South Africa from place to place. These days, I'll typically fly into Cape Town, spend a day or a couple of days there, fly up to Gauteng, and from there drive to Northwest or Botswana or around Gauteng, and then I'll fly somewhere else, typically down to the Eastern Cape, and from there to KZN, yada, yada, back and forth. I typically put 4,000 to 6,000 kilometers on hire cars while I'm in South Africa for a month to 6 weeks. These are averages, sometimes more. The problem is that the last trip really set me back a lot. It cost me over 60,000 Rand for my flight because it was last minute because my passport wasn't sent back to me. I had to pay extra because they were sitting on it for 7 weeks, and it was a real mess. So I had the misfortune the passport expired around the time that I needed to come to South Africa for the election. So that, plus I had some physical issues with my hip, which made it difficult to get around. It's still a problem, but I have to overcome it. And then just the year just got away from us. We had the election. Also, remember last year I ran for election, and that drained me. So a lot of the money I might have used to come to South Africa, I spent on my election campaign, and so I couldn't afford a second trip to South Africa. So look, I'm not pleading poverty here, but I'm also telling you the truth. I self-fund this. I have no sponsor. I've turned down sponsorships in the past. I've had a very wealthy multi-millionaire in South Africa who offered to sponsor me at one point, and I didn't know much about them, and I appreciate the offer, but I said, no, it leaves me my independence. I'm not beholden to anybody, and I'm glad I didn't do it because, anyway, I'll leave it at that. Okay. Wendy wants to know how you get out. Well, you have to be patient and wait. I don't know why people think that because Donald Trump issues an executive order on a Friday night, you'll be able to find answers on a Saturday or Sunday. You need to wait until the State Department issues its guidance. Will Afrikaner refugees be able to serve in the U.S. military? As long as they meet the conditions and standards, they're not a criminal, they don't have HIV, they are not transgender, and they are under the age and they meet the physical standards, yeah, they can join. Yep. Would love to shake your hand, says Darty. Well, Darty, I come to South Africa. We do meet and greets. Yep. It is costly, yep. And it also takes forever. Good God. I mean, that first trip back in 2022, I had to go through from Harrisburg to Chicago, the wrong direction, for 2 hours. Then Chicago to Frankfurt, where I sat for 11 hours waiting for a flight. And then from Frankfurt to Cape Town. And it made me wear a mask everywhere except the airport. So stupid. Yep. What is needed? Because if someone can look deeper, South Africa is a drug. What do you mean? What is needed to be a refugee, Wendy? You must just be tuning in. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to write a paper on this or make a video on it, you know? That's what I'm going to have to do. Otherwise, it's just not going to get anywhere. People aren't going to. So, refugees. Under United States law, a refugee is someone who is located outside the United States, is of special humanitarian concern to the United States. President Trump's executive order determines that the following people are of special humanitarian concern. Afrikaners in South Africa who are victim of unjust racial discrimination. But before you panic and people get their panties or their undershorts in a bunch to cover both genders, the term Afrikaner is not defined there. It must be defined by the State Department. But anyone who falls in the category would be a person of special humanitarian concern. Demonstrates that they were persecuted, so you can prove you're persecuted, denied opportunity, someone trying to take your property, being attacked in a farm attack, being assaulted, being carjacked, being raped, attempted murder, anything like that. Or if you fear persecution, you have to just fear it based on your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. That qualifies you to be a refugee. It is not, if you're not firmly resettled in another country, and if you're admissible to the United States. If you're a serial killer or a convicted rapist, you're not coming to America. I don't care what you want, refugee status. All right, that's subject to law in the United States. And it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your occupation. It doesn't matter what your gender or your sexual orientation is. We don't give a flying flip. This is an incredibly generous program that lets millions of people come to this country just so they escape shithole countries around the world. Rivani says he would have voted for me. Well, thank you for that. Donnie says, why is everyone only discussing land expropriation? The world should know about the other 140 racist laws. Well, Donnie, where have you been for the past 5 years when I've been railing against the racist laws? The world does know. We've been talking about it here for 5 years. That isn't germane at the moment. That isn't the topic. Just like expropriation isn't really the issue. It's about the offenses against America's national security interest. As I read in the House resolution or House bill that was put up to have a law enacted against South Africa last year. I ran through the whole list of being this thing here. So Donnie, yeah, okay, thank you for your input, but you're Johnny come lately. Been talking about that forever. Scientist, you're the last person I expect this question from. You're a frequent viewer of this program. You don't know the difference? I've covered this repeatedly. So that's a refugee. An asylum seeker is a person who comes to America seeking protection because they've suffered persecution or fear they'll suffer persecution for similar reasons: race, religion, nationality, membership, political or social group, or political opinion. You can only file the application if you're physically present in the United States and you're a citizen. You cannot be a refugee if you slip into America and claim refugee status. That's illegal. You'll be deported. You cannot claim asylum if you are sitting in Namibia. You can't. You can only claim asylum in the United States. That's why all these people rocking up at our southern border and invading our country and then declaring that they're asylum seekers are fraudulent. You cannot do that. You have to be an American. So the only way you can declare asylum in America is if you're a Mexican coming to the border or a Canadian and you approach the border and say you're seeking asylum, you have a legitimate reason. Anyone else is not legitimate. If you're Mikhail Baryshnikov or a member of the Soviet hockey team and you're in America on a tour and you escape from your guardians, your overseers, and you run to the FBI or the police and say, I seek a political asylum, you can be granted political asylum. I had someone granted not refugee status, but political asylum because she was beaten by her spouse, who was an officer attending the Army War College. And the courts here granted her asylum. She's still here. She lives down near Lancaster. She didn't speak a word of English, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Now she speaks English and her kids are growing up here. We gave her asylum. Talk about generous. That way she wouldn't be murdered when she went back to the Congo. How much does South Africa's foreign policy have to do with Trump's decision? Quite a bit, Eloise. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. This has been brewing for a long time. I told people not to worry about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not the proximate cause of this. Senator Ted Cruz has a lot more to do with this than Elon Musk. Meanwhile, Ted Cruz is flying under the radar. Everyone's blaming Elon Musk. Do refugees get assistance? Yes, Jerry, for the 1,000th time. They do get assistance. I don't know the amounts, and it depends varying on the programs, but someone here last night said certain categories get $9,000 assistance, plus you get support for 1 year. I don't know the answers there. And every program's different, so just wait and see. Everyone just wait and see. South Africa police clearance certificate expires after 6 months. Well, that sucks. Well, look, I've had this happen to me, the ineptitude of the South Africans. So in 2023, when I went to South Africa, the idiot who stamped my passport at OR Tambo, when I landed there, wrote like 9 days. He put the date down, but I couldn't read. His handwriting was crap. He put it in the computer. I couldn't read it clearly. It looked like it said March. It didn't say March. It said February. And it was like 9 days after I arrived. So I'm in South Africa a few weeks, traveling all over the country. I drive from Pretoria. I finish my business all the way up past Rustenburg, Zeerust, to the Tlokeng border crossing. I get there, and the immigration says, I can't let you leave the country, sir. I said, why? Well, because if you leave, I'll have to declare you undesirable immigrant for 5 years. I said, why? Well, because you overstayed your visa. I'm like, how's it possible? I just got here, a few weeks ago. And she said, no, your visa expired, like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, how can that be? And we looked at it. It was for 9 days. I said, 9 days? I'm from the United States. My visa is for 90 days. Not 9 days, 90 days. So here I am at the border of Botswana in the wintertime. It's over 40 degrees. I'm melting, sweat pouring off my face. I have a cell phone with a SIM card from the United States and cell phones with SIM cards from South Africa, but the towers are located too far south. I can barely get a signal, and my South African SIM card is having a hard time connecting with the Botswana tower, which is too far away from the border post. So I'm having a hard time getting a signal from both of them. I managed to get text messages out, and I sent a voicemail out to people in my groups, my travel group, going, I have a problem. I'm at the Tlokeng border crossing, and they won't let me cross, or they declare me undesirable, and I won't be able to come back to South Africa for 5 years. What do I need? I need help. Does anybody know anybody in Dirtco or Home Affairs or somewhere like that? So I couldn't get it resolved. And meanwhile, I've got the freaking baboons trying to steal my phones and, trying to climb in my car and get food. I had to keep shutting the door. I couldn't turn the aircon on because anyway. So finally, I got the message out. I got on the road, and I'll be honest, I was driving like a banshee down that road back to Zeerust to get back to Pretoria before nightfall so that somebody didn't throw a cinder block out in front of my car and try to rape and murder me on the highway after you get off the Bakwena toll road past Rustenburg, because they're doing that to people. So I managed to get to Linwood, and in the meantime, I contacted one of my friends who was back there because I'd just done an event with the Sightlanders, and they had have gotten accommodation at a decent price at the hotel there at the City Lodge, and so was able to get me a room for that night at City Lodge, which I paid for. They got me the room, and so I got back to Linwood, drove all the way back, all that drive from there. So that's what, 3 hours or something like that. Drove back 4 hours. And we got back as twilight came, got in the hotel, went to my room, and very kindly people, including a couple people affiliated with Sightlanders, including one married to an American, jumped in and gave me the contact for a lady who used to work in Home Affairs, who knows the officials. She jumped in, contacted me around midnight. And then by the next day, we got this emotion. And the following day, we went down to the OR Tambo Airport, went to immigration, and had them fix my passport and fix it in there. And that passport's outdated now. But it cost me 6,000 rand. 6,000 rand between the petrol, the hotel, and then when I had to pay the lady for the services. 6,000 rand. Yep. Wow. All right, Chris, if that guy was, I'd stamp your documents. Thank you. All right. Michelle, was that you, Michelle? Was that you? And if that's why I thought I recognized the name. Was that you, Michelle? You're married to the American. I think that was you. Was that you, Michelle? Yeah, no, that was a crisis of epic proportions, and it really screwed me. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much, and thank you for still being here. Remember that night, Michelle? That was the night that I had interviewed Neil De Beer down in the Western Cape in Tygerberg, and a number of people, before Sightlanders split into Sightlander Civil Defense and the other organization, a number of people at that event that I was a participant in were angry at me. They're like, Chris betrayed Sightlanders. Well, I'm not a Sightlander, folks. I appreciate what they're doing. I cover what they're doing. I have a personal friendship with Vainant Dutoy and with other members of Sightlanders, some really good people, but I'm not a member of it, and I'm a journalist. And I covered Neil De Beer's launch of his UIM and running, for the elections. And some people didn't like that. And so very kindly, Vainant Dutoy got up and said, listen, enough of this nonsense. Chris is a retired colonel, but he's a journalist now. And he talks to people. He talks to people on all sides of the spectrum, left and right. He talks to people that he likes, he talks to people he doesn't like, to get the information out for people to decide. And that was really heartwarming for me. I really appreciate that from Vainant Dutoy. He'll always be good in my book for that. Rivani says, sorry about that. No, Michelle, that was fantastic. Yeah, we met you at Light. Yeah, that was interesting that night. The sound wasn't great in that place, though. But yeah, it was a great experience. So thank you, Michelle. That's why I recognize the name. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I get grief because I cover Sightlanders and I treat them fairly. But I also treat the United Democratic Movement fairly. I treat ACDP fairly. I treat everybody fairly. Well, right now, DA's getting a lot of grief from me because of their hypocrisy. Why is everybody coming here with your hatred for AfReform? Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're becoming subscribers, but I don't really care. I'll look at the video, and if in my view that they did something they shouldn't do, then I'll let them know. And I have the advantage that I can reach out to colleague Creel directly. Yep. To the benefit of all South Africans, no matter what race they're in the U.S., they must please keep the pressure on. The stars shine brightest when it's the darkest. Eugene Boykus, I agree. The pressure needs to be on, but the U.S. needs to step up to the plate and run through. And we need Ted Cruz to give a press conference and say this is not simply about the discrimination against minority South Africans. This is about the abuse of South Africa's position on the world stage and its threats to American national security, and run through several of those items. That's what they need to do. I really want to see snow. I saw it. I went skiing the other day. You guys can see me skiing. You want to see snow? Go watch my videos of me skiing last week. These imbeciles misspelled the town's name on my marriage document. They refused to correct it. There you go, Martin. Yeah, see? Yep. No, look, I know this, folks. I know people in Botswana, and they do this to Botswana, Namibia, and Zimbabwe. They do it for sure. Probably to Eswatini as well. But I know people who have crossed the border, and then the lazy border guards don't enter when they went in. They don't stamp it. So when they leave it, then they've been declared undesirable because they had last been there like 3 or 4 or 5 years before, and it never shows them leaving the country or never entering the country. And then they're put in the system as undesirable. And they do this to hundreds, if not thousands, of Botswana, and they get away with this crap. Yep, they get away with it. So whenever you go through South African immigration, always check your passport for a stamp, and always make sure the date is right if you need a visa. Another thing, AfReform and Sightlander isn't speaking on behalf of this. They never claim to, Martinez. Why would you make the assumption that they are? That's another thing. Why do you people make assumptions that these groups speak for you or claim they do? I'm going to have to watch that video. So anyway. All right, someone should check Ted Cruz's basement. Waiting 10 weeks for them to issue an unabridged marriage certificate. It's insane. There you go. I'm so glad Ted Cruz pointed out South's hypocrisy when it comes to our Taiwan relationship. Well, I pointed it out last year in April, again 6 months later, again the next month, and again in January. But then we didn't have a big audience. We're growing now, and we're very grateful for the growing audience. Thank you all so much. We are up to 34,304, which is nice, but we still got a ways to go here, folks. All right, so let me take care of this. I have a video that's saying that it couldn't be monetized because I was using copyrighted material. Even though I have the copyrights, I have time to dispute it, so I just took care of that. But yeah, we so looking good here. Appreciate it, everybody, for the subscribers and those tuning in. But we got a ways to go to get 35,000. We got 700 more today. I don't know if we're going to make it unless I make a few videos. I moved to Australia 20 years ago. Very happy, safe. Got my whole family here. I would grab this opportunity to go to the U.S. Okay, Nina Ricci. Good to see you there. I watched various YouTube channels. Lots of Americans are furious that President Trump is giving these white racist refugee status, especially the black Americans, it seems. White racist, Deborah. White racist. Okay, well, I'll entertain this, but first off, your statement is bigotry at best, racist at worst. What white racist? Tell me the name of a person who's a white racist and prove to me how they're racist. And because they're white? Wow, you're not going to be here very long, Deborah. We don't tolerate racism here. Izan Voigt says, thank you for giving us hope again. It's so beautiful here. Too bad. Yeah, South Africa is an amazing country. It's absolutely gorgeous. May the best man win. You talking about the fight? Paul Van Niekerk, President Trump has given us an opportunity and we can take it or leave it. Exactly. We just have to wait for the conditions and standards. It's only been 3 weeks in Perth. I've only been here for 3 weeks in Perth out of 3 months. Personally, I can't wait to get back to PE and stay there. That is what we are seen as. What? Your statement doesn't. There's an incongruity with what you're saying. Your statements, Deborah. All right, I'll assume that you're not being a troll, and we'll leave it at that. New York's got blitzing with snow. Well, we're getting blitzing with snow right here in Pennsylvania right now. If I look out the window, it's probably snowing. I haven't done that, but there are fears that Trump will suspend South Africa from AGOA, and they're well-based because South Africa is not eligible for AGOA, folks. Not eligible. John-Retha Hammond is back. Welcome to you. No, South Africa has invalidated its AGOA eligibility by passing expropriation on compensation. And as I've told people many, many times, eligibility for AGOA is conditioned on certain things. Among those are protecting property rights. By expropriating property, you are not in accord with the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. Therefore, you're ineligible. South Africa should have been taken out of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act in 2018 when this bill was introduced. I said that then, I say it now. And here are the AGOA eligibility criteria for those who are unsure. This is why you're right to be concerned. AGOA's eligibility criteria, Section 104 of the Public Law, a market-based economy that protects private property rights. A market-based economy that protects private property rights. There you go, right there. See it? Private property rights. No question about it. No ambiguity. No nonsense. South Africa has made itself ineligible through its actions of expropriation without compensation because that abrogates private property rights and therefore not eligible for AGOA. So there shouldn't even be a thought. Trump should do this immediately. I don't want him to do it, but that's the position. Heat exchange between South Africa and the United States this week are an eruption of tensions over several policy issues that have come into focus under President Trump's administration. That's not true. There are no heat exchanges between the United States and South Africa. We've not talked to South Africa. Trump simply announced he was ending aid to South Africa and he offered refugee status to Afrikaners. There's no exchange. There's no heat exchange. The heat exchanges are the attacks by leftist media against America. That's the exchange. That's not exchange. That's an assault. And more turbulence is in store with South African-born Elon Musk, a key ally, new president. Well, these people know what they're talking about. Even if the recent outburst seems surprising, the trigger goes back sometimes, said Davi Root. Yep, Davi Root's right. He said in 2023, a bipartisan group of lawmakers called for Joe Biden to punish South Africa for not condemning Russia's attack on Ukraine. Yep. All of a sudden, those voices that were a minority are now more important because Republicans control the government. So that's what's going on. What would be the fallout if AGOA goes? Well, I'll tell you what it is. The goods and services that come from South Africa would suddenly become more expensive. So right now, South Africa enjoys the advantage of duty-free access to over 5,600 products and services. Much of what we get from South Africa comes in the form of minerals, $430 million a year, 2023, wine, and then automobile parts. Those things would no longer be duty-free. You'd be subject to a minimum of 2% duty on those goods. Some goods would have higher rates. But, I mean, if you put 2% more on a bottle of wine, it's not going to slow down purchases of wine in America. But if you put a higher percentage, that could have a problem. So the favored trade nation status will disappear, and it will have an impact on South Africa's producers. Could cost you jobs, certainly, as people don't buy your products. And meanwhile, you've got this moron, Grady Montasha, if they don't give us the money, we won't give them the minerals. Dude, we buy the minerals. $430 million worth 2 years ago. $430 million worth. So if you think that your mining industry can afford to sacrifice 4% of its current exports by being stubborn cusses, more power to you. There's a super chat from Critical Thinking. Please do an interview with Organic Humanity Movement founder Lauren Eventhia. Very interesting solutions. I've not gotten anywhere with that person. She's married to that asshole, Odez. That guy's a jerk off. So I don't have any contact with her. I reached out and I didn't even know she was married to him. If we're talking about the same person, that guy's a jerk off. He's disrespectful, rude, and he's an ass who got a strike on my channel, nearly costing my channel over content that didn't belong to him that he falsely claimed was his content. And he freely admitted that on his website, on his YouTube channel, when he said they thanked someone for sending him the video, which wasn't his video. Then he had the audacity to file a copyright strike against me, which I refuted and lost. So I have nothing against that lady, nothing for her. I'd interview her if she wants to come on the program. She contacts me, but I'm not going to take my time to go hunt down people who are, not her, but her husband. So I have no use for him. Anyway, so as hard as it will be, USA stop the handouts. We need laws to stimulate our business. You do, yeah. You need to actually have a real economy, not one that's geared to enriching cadres. His mines are going to tank. Davi Root is a good friend of DDP. What is DDP? Grady Montasha is a member of the Communist Party. All senior ANC officials are members of the Communist Party. Democrats win 2020. They think they might try to reverse executive action. Well, the program exists under law, the conditions for it. So so let's put this clear. So this program is a matter of public law. So the United States Refugee Admissions Program, I always have a hard time with it, Refugee Admissions Program, that's a matter of public law. So the next administration can't reverse that. They can ask for the law to be rescinded with a new law, which strikes it down, but that would be hard to do. It's not a good look to stop refugee programs. They can halt it, they can freeze it, but reverse it, they can't, without legitimate reasons, can't take, they would be tied up in court for years. That would not work. So I'm not sure what you mean by halted. And Pumlani says DDP. That doesn't help me. I asked what DDP was. There's a snowplow outside. Let me go look and see. Oh, Dreekus. Okay, gotcha. Can you hear that? Give me a second. I'll be right back. They're plowing my road. Sound like an ANC make work operation out there. There's no snow. It's freezing rain. And they've got a plow running across the coal tar, digging it up, damaging the road. That's why it was so loud, because there's no snow to plus. No snow. It's just freezing rain. What's public knowledge, Ravani? Yes, the harder the ANC pushes America, the worse they'll be punished for it. And that's why I said the ANC need to show humility. The fight's over. And Dreekus won, I'm sure. Strickland is a silly hillbilly that runs his mouth. I don't know who that is. Is that his opponent? Afriform Solidarity should not presume to speak for Afrikaners. Boy, why is everybody coming in here with this Afrikaner? This isn't an Afriform conversation, but people are destined and darn hard pressed to want to come in here and complain about Afriform. Love your hat and content. Good wishes from Pretoria. Thank you, Brave Red. Sorry, trying to get dinner at 1 a.m. in the morning. Did you just land somewhere, Arctic? You just getting back? Wendy says thank you. You're welcome, Wendy. And thank you for becoming a subscriber. I really appreciate it. So the assertion that Afrikaners need to flee the country of their birth is false, says the South African presidency. Well, is it false that people are denied access to bursaries, education opportunities, employment because they're white? That's not false. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the assertion that Afrikaners face arbitrary deprivation and therefore need to flee is an assertion devoid of all truth. Of course, that's not an assertion that Donald Trump made. He never made that assertion. You're just making this up. That's the propaganda machine hard at work again. All right, so here's a statement from the minister in the presidency. This is from Ronnie Lamola. It's ironic that an executive order makes provision for refugee status in the U.S. is for a group in South Africa that remains among the most economically privileged, while vulnerable people in the U.S. from other parts of the world are being deported and denied asylum despite real hardship. Now, see, Ronnie Lamola is a propagandist. No, nobody's being deported who's a migrant here, who's an immigrant. Nope, only criminal alien invaders who violate our sovereignty. The same thing South Africa does every day by kicking Zimbabweans out and back across the border. So your hypocrisy and your lies are beyond the pale, Ronnie Lamola. But then, you're a failed justice minister. Why not be a failed foreign minister too? Just another paid propagandist. Trump says some South Africans are oppressed and could be resettled in the U.S. They say no thanks, according to the AP. Now, the AP lies. This is fake news, too. Groups representing some of South Africa's white minority responded to a plan by President Trump. And they talk about specifically, on Saturday, two of the most prominent groups representing Afrikaners say they would not be taking up Trump's offer. Derek Herman of Solidarity and then Kali Creel of AfriForum. But the problem with that, ladies and gentlemen, is that they're the same. Two groups, they're not. AfriForum is a subsidiary of Solidarity, the trade union. So that's a very misleading and dishonest report there in the Associated Press. Voice of America echoes the same thing. Afrikaner groups in South Africa decline Trump's resettlement plan. Okay? The plan was detailed in executive order. Well, it's those two groups. They don't represent everybody. So here we have the fake news. A major earthquake in the Caribbean has triggered tsunami alerts. That's pretty unusual for the Caribbean. Look at that. There's the epicenter from the U.S. Geological Survey. located northeast off the coast of Honduras and east of Belize, south of Cuba, and west of Jamaica. Look at that, man. A 7.6 magnitude earthquake. That is huge. 20 miles north of Honduras, 130 miles southwest of the Cayman Islands. That is cray-cray, folks. That is cray-cray. 7.6 magnitude. That's a big one. That is a big one. So the Free Market Foundation has welcomed President Trump's executive order. The Free Market Foundation welcomes executive order of 7 February by President Trump to address egregious actions on behalf of the Republic of South Africa. The decision by the United States to halt state aid or assistance to South Africa is an entirely justified response from the Trump administration, given the ongoing threat to private property rights in South Africa, South African government's hostile foreign policy towards the United States, and the continuation of race-based discrimination in domestic policy, said David Ansara, chief executive. The Expropriation Act represents a grave threat to the private property rights of South Africans in general and farmers in particular. This has not gone unnoticed in Washington. Unless government acts accordingly by repealing this pernicious piece of legislation, it will be ordinary South Africans who will have to pay the price. 100%. So the Free Market Foundation is standing up for South Africans. Meanwhile, we are waiting for, where's it at? The Democratic Alliance to say something. Let me look. Here it comes again. Can you hear that? Sounds like Arctic just flew overhead. So I'm looking to see the Democratic Alliance. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and reload the page. DA, okay. So I go to the DA website. Here we go. And it's now been over 24 hours, folks. It's more like 30 hours plus. And the DA has not said anything. Newsroom. The last they did was they complained that they couldn't get into the DERCO meeting. Jobs in the SONA. There's not a single thing here about Donald Trump because the DA is in deep cock. They are in some deep shit. They're in trouble here, folks. They're in trouble here. They have put themselves in an untenable position, and therefore they're keeping their mouths shut, which is what they should have done in the first place. Nikki Opperman, thank you for your subscription. So they've got nothing to say. That's on their official webpage. Here's their YouTube account. I haven't gone to their Twitter account, but I suppose I could do that as well. There's nothing there. Nothing. Breaking news. Nope. SONA. Nothing there about Trump's expropriation executive order. So let's go to X and we'll look up our DA. Let's see if they've got anything there. What the hell? How many times are you going to drive down my street? Good God. It's freaking 1 o'clock in the morning. Idiots. They don't come by this often when it snows. I'm starting to get a little pissed off out here. They're damaging the street. So, well, here we have 14 hours ago, Minister of Agriculture John Steenhuisen successfully reopened South Africa's fresh. Thank you for becoming a member, Aki. John Steenhuisen successfully reopened South Africa's fresh apple exports to Thailand. Ooh, well, there you go. Country's going to shit and you're worried about apple exports. Yep. Saviwa Garuba talks about her priorities in her department. The Auditor General crowing about how the DA has 20 well-run municipalities in the Western Cape with clean audits. Here's the DA's priorities, digital transformation. Here's the empowering coastal jobs. This is a party that doesn't get it. Doesn't get it. Wow. They don't get it. The DA is dead, folks. They are dead. They are dead in the water. These people don't get what's going on here. It doesn't mean they can't recover. Where is Helen Zillow? The Roland Martin subscriber driving the snowplow. Joy says somebody's watching me. Someone's always watching. We don't hate Afro Reform. We're afraid they're causing bad press, which might anger Trump. No, I don't think Trump's going to pay any attention to what they have to say. Is the snowplower from? No, he's from Zimbabwe. Yeah, right, Charles. What's the point of getting apples exported to Thailand if the orchards are destroyed by expropriation and turned over to people who aren't prepared to farm? As it's supposed to be a hypothetical question. If the Afrikaner sets up cultural centers, will we be able to teach Afrikaans with our Afrikaans teachers? What do you mean, in America? Of course you can set up a cultural organization. Why not? People can freely associate in America. Freedom of association is part of our country. Meanwhile, the Freedom Front Plus is one of the few parties that actually politically said something about this. Dr. Peter Groenewald on the 8th yesterday said they've been warning the ANC for 30 years its policy directions threaten private property rights would cost South Africa dearly. Here they come again. If he comes by one more time, I'm going to have to leave and go outside and scream at this guy. I mean, seriously, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's what's going on? Anyway, so that's what's going on. Also, AfriForum initially had said something, and what they said the first day was pretty good. They appreciate Trump's points, but their future lies in Africa. But I didn't see the video, so I'll watch the video. Meanwhile, secession is in the air in Illinois. Let me share this before we wrap this portion up. So counties in Illinois that don't like the leftist bent of Governor Pritzker and Illinois want to leave the state of Illinois and become part of neighboring Indiana. This is crazy, man. You don't see this happen very often. Multiple counties want to leave Illinois, and Indiana says, come on over. That's the Indiana State House in Indianapolis. As states grow more politically polarized, the difference between good and bad governance is coming into sharper relief for voters. Enough people are noticing in Illinois that some counties want to secede from the land of Lincoln and join a state that isn't ruled by public unions and their political yes men. In November, to little national notice, several Illinois counties voted to consider seceding, and now Indiana is rolling out the welcome mat. Voters in Iroquois, Calhoun, Clinton, Greene, Jersey, Madison, and Perry counties approved a non-binding ballot question on cutting ties with Illinois. And the votes weren't even close. 6 of the 7 counties approved the advisory question by more than 70%. Iroquois County's vote was some 72%, and Calhoun's was 76%. Wow. Wow. Indiana House Speaker Todd Houston said the Illinois counties would be more than welcome to come on over. I'm looking to see if they have a map here. No, they don't have a map. I was hoping they have a map. Thank you, Tinnis Barnhart, for subscribing. So counties in America are leaving states now. They're trying to anyway. Even Disney World is upset about how expensive it is to go to Disney. Look at this. Even Disney World worried about the high cost of a Disney vacation. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. Yvonne Kindle spent years contemplating a trip to Walt Disney. This November, she finally got a chance to take her family of 4. You ready for this, folks? You ready for sticker shock? The trip left Kindle, a bank compliance officer from Bear, Delaware, with sticker shock, especially after recent price increases. 2 days of park tickets ran to $1,123. 21,000 rand. Passes that let them skip the line on popular rides, another $208. A meal with costume characters, including Donald and Daisy Duck, $219. 2 Mickey Mouse bubble wands, $60.68. It was really stressful for me thinking all the time about how much we were spending. Even though she and her husband, a driver at a warehouse, weren't paying for it all themselves, her parents covered the cost of lodging and airplane tickets for her children aged 10 and 4. So they paid for their grandkids, but not the parents. The total came to $3,000, and she's never going back. A one-day pass to Disney for a single person cost $206, 4,000 rand. Wow. That's crazy. Crazy. My goodness. Anyway, there you have it. So that's just insane, is it not? Okay, Vernon Isaac, AfriForum and freedom are critical for minority rights in South Africa. DA wants to get majority votes, not minority votes. Okay. The fact that we're rolling out national digital ID, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I talked about that. I criticized that for the State of Nation address. What kind of apples are they growing? You're from Pennsylvania? That's where I want to move to. I'm not from Pennsylvania, funds free. I'm not from Pennsylvania. That's where I live. I'm originally from Maryland, but I grew up all over the country and then spent most of my adult life living abroad. Only briefly served in the United States and Arizona, Fort Huachuca, at the National Security Agency in Fort Meade in Maryland, and at the Army War College and Iowa State. So four tours in Germany, or in the States, excuse me. The rest of my time, my 36 and a half years in the Army, was spent overseas in multiple places. Bezabi says, as the coming Afrikaner Holocaust takes shape, can Afrikaners form a register of trust and say where they can place their properties? I'm not a lawyer. I couldn't tell you how to do that. Good question, though. All right. Wish we could secede from the ANC government. Yes, and Game, I'm with you there. Well, hey, hang on. Zulu might secede, brother. People have been talking about the Western Cape secession for a long time. You might see the Zulus secede first. Yeah, apparently Drickus won. Very strange they're plowing freezing rain. It is. And I'll tell you why. Someone's got a contract and they're obliged to do this, and rather wait for the snow, they've come here now And they should have waited for the snow, and then after it snowed, we had accumulation come do it. But now they're doing it, and they'll say they did it, and they poured salt on the road, and all they've done is damage the pavement and wake people up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Somebody's going to hear about this. Yep. Kudu Grey Ghosts, I only got online now, so if I missed, I'm sorry, but I have not inherited any wealth or farms, so I'm on my own. I will take the opportunity to go over and be proud to serve. Okay. I was in a similar boat at the age of 17 when I left high school. I had no inheritance. I had no farm, no property, no money. And I went to university on a full ride and then went in the Army. Any Afrikaner that wants to stay, read up on the Volga Germans. You're not going to want to be Dutch or German in BRICS territory. Driekus 1. Yeah, I expected that, Pumlani. Here's Sakorn. Namibia the best. Namibia's nice. But you've got SWAPO you got to deal with, so... They have expropriated land in Namibia too. People forgotten about that. About 9 years ago, they expropriated some farms and they went to shit. Okay, what else? Did you prefer your time in AFRICOM or CENTCOM? Well, hold on. I wasn't in CENTCOM. I was with UCOM and I was in CENTCOM area of operations, but I didn't do anything with CENTCOM. I was just deployed there. I worked with European Command frequently, and I worked at Africa Command. So I didn't really enjoy my time in Africa Command. I enjoyed being back in Germany, but AFRICOM really was full of people that didn't know much about Africa. So I was the most experienced Africanist there, and it was frustrating for me because the people that knew that would make sure I got invited to things, and my opinion was asked, and my input was asked. But most of these people were just, military officers who were doing another assignment, knew nothing about Africa, came there, and I'll give you an example. So this is the perfect example of what happened at AFRICOM. So there was this major who was in the National Guard. He was from Nigeria. Okay, came over to the States when he was like 12 or something like that. Became a naturalized citizen, enlisted in the Guard, or not enlisted, a commission in the Guard. Became an officer. He was a major. So he was doing his training, and he was sent over to Africa Command. I went to a meeting. There was an Air Force full colonel. There was a Marine full colonel. There was a couple senior executive service people in this meeting, and they were talking about some situation in Africa. Now, I am the most experienced Africanist of every one of the 1,200 people working at U.S. Africa Command in Stuttgart, hands down. Not a boast, statement of fact. Now, there were other people who had as much experience who came before me and after me, but at that time, I was the person. So I'm at the meeting. I was invited. I come, and they asked a question, and I answered the question, and I was correct in my assessment. It was succinct, it was clear, it was obvious, it was correct. So then, for some reason, after I was finished, he got his 2 cents. They politely listened to me, but they didn't really pay much attention, probably because I'm white. What do I know about Africa? They don't know anything about me. That's the problem. These are Americans. So then this major, born in Nigeria, starts talking with his African accent and his dark pigmentation. No, and it's this, and Africans don't want. He's speaking for 1.3 billion Africans. It's comical. No, Africans don't want this; they want that. And you should have seen it was like an E.F. Hutton commercial. Every head was on a swivel, and they listened and they wrote everything down he said. He didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He wasn't from Africa. He's from America with an African accent. He came here at the age of 11 or 12, stuck between worlds. And he's going to tell them that 1.3 billion Africans don't believe this, and this is their view on Africa. And these idiots believed it. So my time in Africa Command was very frustrating. Very frustrating. Now, being on the continent and being under Africa Command, I love that. That was great. Not that I love Africa Command, but I love the work in Africa. How people can claim AfriForum speaks for anyone other than their members. Yeah, I don't know why people are claiming that. Why do they say that? AJM64 says, thank you, America. At least someone's standing up for us. Yep, someone is. The U.S. just lost a war against Borisson. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the Driekus thing? Hannes de Beer says, there is a lot of violence and death threats. Yes, I know, and I warned everybody. What is one of the first things I said? Not that that makes it any better for you, but I caution you, be very careful. Yep, so yeah, be careful. Trump did not help. Somebody just leave their message. Why'd you do that? That was a message I wanted to read. Shame. Okay, when do you guys think the new Rugby and Cricket World Cup champions will bring the trophy to USA? Should check that snowplower's contract. Exactly. It's probably a cater. At least it's working, though. there's a caterer, they wouldn't even show up. It's about time for a vote of no confidence, Ron posted. That's critical thinking. That's what I suggested yesterday. I said that it's time for a vote of no confidence against Ron Posen. Yep. DA Snowplow. AfriSporm spoke for 600,000 voters, yet we're white Afrikaners to 3.4 million. You really think it's 3.4 million? My population estimate is 2.8 million. I'd be nice if it's 3.4 million, but I think it's 2.8. Will it be possible to own a gun USA? Well, of course, unless you're a criminal. Only felons can't have firearms. Yeah, you can have a licensed firearm. I have hundreds of them. That's an embellishment. DA Snowplow doesn't know if it's coming or going. Well, what happens then, Arctic, is what I suggested last year. The ANC rules through a plurality government. The plurality government will not be able to get any legislation passed because they don't have the votes. So they can't steal more liberty. And the country has paralysis. Frankly, if the government is paralyzed, you're better off than if it can act in South Africa right now. That's the best outcome for South Africa because you're not going to reverse the National Democratic Revolution. If you could just freeze it by leaving nobody in power, it'd be like a European situation. Arctic, I'm aware of that. You're right. 2.8 million. Yeah, that's the number I have. Like Europe, exactly. That's Snowplow. The intelligence agencies know. Oh, crypto. They know where I live. I get paid every month from the government. They know where I live. Can we look you up once we arrive in USA? Well, you can, AJM, if I'm not in South Africa. Actually, we got that little hate wanker who claims to live in Amsterdam part of the year and then in Iceland the other half of the year. I don't know what this guy's problem is, but he's got some issue with me, and he attacked me on Facebook and threatened that the South African Human Rights Commission was going to take me to court and the police were going to arrest me when I'm in South Africa because I'm an avowed racist, because I said bad things about black people, which I didn't say. He took a video and altered it and then put it up and claimed that I said this, Anyway, This guy ruined my relationship with Nas Botha, or so he claims. All I know is that the relationship got ruined. It's okay again, but it ruined what was going on. So during the World Cup in France in 2023, Nas Botha was not doing broadcasts. Supersport wasn't using him. Just before I left, I wanted to do a preview of the World Cup, and Dolan Stanford, who's South African-born American rugby player and now broadcaster, he and I usually do these previews of what's coming. So I asked him if he could do it, but it was late in the game when I asked him. And he's like, I'm prepping my family. We're all going to France. I'm leaving in a few days, Chris. I can't do it. And I said, okay, thanks, Don. I appreciate it. And I was at sixes and sevens. What do I do now? And I said, hey, let me ask Nas Botha, because I've interviewed Nas Botha before, and I've chatted with him a few times. Interviewed him at Bloemfontein a couple years ago. So I wrote to Nas to say, Nas, listen, I'm about ready to go to the World Cup. If you're interested, would you like to do a preview of the World Cup? And he goes, yeah, sure, Chris, I'll come on. So Nas came on the program, and we did a fantastic, and people were loving it. They loved it. And I said, I kind of put him on the spot. I said, Nas, not to put you on the spot, but, I'm leaving for France tomorrow. And I'll be there for about a month, and I'm going to, 16 or 17 games. If you want to chat about this, since you're not doing anything on TV, I could call you from there. We could record it, and we could load these interviews up. So that's what I did. And for about 2 weeks, almost 10 days, 2 weeks, Nas and I did these things between games and after games, and we loaded up not just South African games, but all of them, and loaded them up. And then this clown claimed that he called Supersport and said, hey, why do you let your on-air talent associate with a racist? He called me a racist. I mean, this guy's lucky. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So then suddenly Nas wasn't on anymore. We didn't cover it anymore, and it just really sucked. So anyway, that really sucked. Why was I talking about that? Hey, Chris, would you mind covering the electoral reform panel since the media is totally silent on it? A very important democratic process going on right now. Critical Thinking Society, there's not a lot of information available because the press isn't covering it. I don't have any inside insight. So I don't know how to answer that right now. Maurice Snayman, thank you for the gift membership. Oh, somebody gave a gift membership. I missed that. Sorry. Oh, that's what. Can you look me up? Yeah. Yeah, you can look me up. Will I be here is the question. How are you going to pay for the gun if you're still a refugee? Get a job and apply for citizenship. You can buy one at 7-Eleven. I don't think you can buy one at 7-Eleven in Texas. Oh, my hat. You like the hat, okay? We loved your input together, and banter was sad to see it fizzle out. Yeah, it was, Debbie. That was amazing. Yeah, Nas and I had a really good rapport. That was really good stuff. And then what sucked about it is when that guy destroyed he claimed, I assume he destroyed. I don't know. He probably whined to the Super Sport enough that they put the kibosh on it. That was one of the most exciting things. And then other guy who's really wealthy and has boats and travels the world and does a rugby channel. That guy's got like 80, 100,000 people watching him now. And he started doing it around the time that I was doing this stuff, and my channel didn't go anywhere. Shame. A white population was around 5 million a couple years ago, and then its drain started as it stopped. Colonel, can you just get everyone to drive on the right side of the road? We do drive on the right side of the road. That's correct. The right side of the road. The overtake lane is the left lane. That's the correct right side of the road. You're correct. We'll also have to teach them how to make proper biltong. People make biltong in America. Took my colleague home Friday, drove in the street on the right side. All the neighbors just looked at me. Scrooby, we are the world's second largest rugby nation. We've been a rugby nation since the 19th century. We were the defending Olympic champions from 1920 and 1924 until the sport was reintroduced as sevens in Rio in 2016. We don't need to be introduced to rugby. We just need people to spend money for the game to take it professional. But we've known rugby for a long time. Okay. Yeah, the white population has pretty much been static because people leaving and the lower fertility rates. Funny how many want to run to the USA but are too lazy to learn about the USA. They're not really out with the media because it's Nasbota legend. Yeah, no, Nasbota is clean shorts because he didn't tackle anybody. Nas. Yeah, those videos are still on the channel, folks. You can find that. In fact, let me see. Let me find it with Nas. Here we go. Let me get one of these here. So Springboks Romania 12 tries. Let me get that one to come up here. So let me put a mute. Okay. So here you go. This is Chris once again with Springbok legend Bulls, former Texas rugby player, none other than the amazing Nas Botha. Nas, so good news to talk about today, but I think you want to talk about something before we get into the game.
Yeah, there's one thing that I did pick up today that was a little bit annoying. Romania, and it's not about Romania. I think it's about one law that they need to really sort out. I think they got penalized 4 or 5 times falling over after they won the ball. Okay? And
so, yeah, that was Nas. We did that. That was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. And somebody ruined that. It's a shame. And then Nas just kind of disappeared on me for a long time there, which kind of sucked. But, we're chatting again. So, anyway, we want to bring the best of ourselves, what's this? Mr. Musk fully pulled out of talks with ICASA. No more hopes for Starlink. Africa's dark and wants to be left in dark ages. Yep. Is there a test online where I can take the USA test? You can do a Google search for the test for applicants for citizenship. Let's do that. But the test, okay. Maurice, the test doesn't matter. You're talking about a refugee program. It doesn't matter. You're not coming here as an immigrant. You come as a refugee if you do that. U.S. citizenship test practice. Okay. Civics practice test. Here you go. National Museum, preparing for the oath. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, here you go. A couple options here. Sorry about the stupid questions. We were just overly excited. No, I got you, Maurice. That's okay. I appreciate that. Also, I've been on for a couple hours, so people pop on and off here. So let's go ahead and go to this screen, okay? Actually, I don't want to do it that way. Hang on a second. I want to do it this way because I want to be able to see the studio. I can't do that. Hang on a second. Where's the studio? There we go. Okay, that's what I want. So, it's refugee status that we're talking about here if you do this. It's not immigration. Immigration is very different. Okay, so let's get to the refugee status one. Zane Botha says, watch your video yesterday, stayed awake for this live show. We'll send my daughter ahead, sell everything, then my wife and I will come. Oh, my goodness. Michelle did it, test American history. It's more than history. It's civics, too. So let's go to that. Okay, so here's two of them. This one's from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service. All right, so that's what this one is. Hang on. There you go. Welcome to the 2008 Civics Practice Test. Okay, it's not multiple choice test. Okay, during the naturalization interview, the U.S. officer will ask you up to 10 questions from a list of 100 in English. You must answer correctly 6 of the 10 questions to pass the civics test. This is for citizenship and naturalization. This is for people already in America who've been living here for years who have applied for citizenship. It has nothing to do. Arctic didn't have to take this test to come here. Here we go. So this is 2008. We elect a representative for how many years? All right. Okay. How many years do we elect a U.S. representative for? 4, 2, 6, or 8? 4, 2, 6, or 8. Okay. Odd that Romania was being mentioned then, and now it's the extent of NATO expansion. Well, that was rugby. It had nothing to do with that. Okay. Domino Production says, Nick and Zane say 4 years. What do you think is going to happen when talking doesn't work? Does the ANC think, well, South Africa, the U.S. is not going to restore aid unless South Africa backs down from its positions that are antithetical to our national security interests. That's pretty simple. That's not going to change. Right, you had to take many tests, but it has nothing to do with, I didn't say you didn't take tests, Arctic. I said you didn't take this test. 5 years minimum, 10 years for most people, exactly. Okay, we got several answers. Everybody's saying 4. The correct answer is 2. We elect the U.S. representative for 2 years. Representatives can run for office as many times as they want. Their job is to represent the people who live in their district, the House of Representatives. So it's not 4. You guys have failed. There are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote. Describe one of them. Citizens by birth, citizens with a job, citizens 17 and older, citizens 18 and older can vote. Which are those things? So there are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who gets to vote. A, citizens by birth only can vote. Citizens with a job can vote. Citizens 17 and older can vote, or citizens 18 and older can vote. All right, I got D, D, C, D, and an oops. Donnie von Arctic going, oops. Oops wasn't one of the options. Jacques Coetzee says D. All right, and the correct answer is D. Well done. You guys are on top for this time. D, citizens who are 18. That's correct. 18 and older. That was an amendment to the Constitution in 1964, the 24th Amendment. Next question. Name 2 U.S. national holidays, April Fool's Day and Labor Day and Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day and President's Day, Citizenship Day and Columbus Day. Name 2 national holidays, April Fool's Day and Labor Day and Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day and President's Day, Citizenship Day and Columbus Day. Okay, I got some B, B, D, B, B, A, B. You guys are all over the place this time. The correct answer is B, Labor Day and Thanksgiving. Correct? Who is the Commander-in-Chief of the military? The Attorney General, the Secretary of Defense, the President, or the Vice President? Who is the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military? The Attorney General, the Secretary of Defense, the President, or the Vice President? B, B, C, C, A. To be a refugee, must I sneak in the U.S.? If you come into the U.S., you sneak in here, Kudu, you disqualify yourself to be a refugee. You cannot be a refugee by coming into America. You must be outside the country. C, people are saying. The correct answer is C, the President, El Presidente. That is correct. So I've gotten 4 correct. I'm bound to get 1 wrong here eventually. What do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance? The state where you live, the United States, the Congress, or the President? Where do you pledge a loyalty to? The state where you live, the United States, the Congress, or the President? And the answer is B, 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 B. Okay. All right. People are saying B. Oh, you got some smart cookies here now. Correct. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. So you're pledging allegiance to the Republic. When is the last day you can send in a federal income tax return? That's a question for citizenship. The IRS wants to make sure they get their money. When is the last day you can send a tax? Seriously, that's a citizenship question. They're where to get their money. July 4th, April 15th, May 15th, or March 15th. July 4th, April 15th, May 15th, or March 15th. No idea, says more. Okay. Why the interest in South Africa? You have a South African wife. No, I don't, Napoleon. No, I don't have a South African wife. The answer is, of course, April 15th. There you go. Correct. That's 6. What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? Freedom of speech, the people, the president, or checks and balances? What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? Freedom of speech, the people, the president, or checks and balances? Holden says do a difficult one. D, B, D, 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 B, C, D. You guys are all over the place on this one. The answer is checks and balances. Co-equal branches of government have checks and balances. There you go. 7. We got 3 more. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What is one power of the states? To make treaties, provide schooling and education, to create an army, or to coin or print money? What is a power that the states specifically have? To make treaties, to provide schooling and education, to create an army, or to coin or print money? And subversive question, says Ravani. B, C, B, A, B, 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 D, B. Okay, now you guys just throwing stuff up there. The correct answer is provide schooling and education, folks. That's what states are allowed to do. Okay, next question. Okay, so let me explain something there. So print and coin money under the Articles of Confederation, which was the first form of governance that we had here before we had our Constitution, from 1776 until 1787. We had basically, really from 1783, we had our independence to 1787. We had the Articles of Confederation, which was a loose confederation of states. States erected their own border patrols. They erected their own, border crossings between states inside a country. They also erected, they printed their own money. Banks printed money. Just any bank that wanted to print it. States printed their own money, and it was chaos. It was total disaster. I mean, one form of currency here, another form 10 miles away. So what happened was that power is reserved to the federal government. And education is a responsibility of states. That's why the Federal Department of Education must go away. Okay, so here's the next question. Who vetoes bills? The President pro temp, the Vice President, the President, or the Speaker of the House? Who vetoes bills under our system of governance? The President pro temp, the Vice President, the President, or the Speaker of the House? CBD, CBDD, okay? The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, under the checks and balances system is that Congress, the House, and the Senate pass the legislation. They send it to the President, and the President has the power to veto. So we've got 9 out of 10. We're going to mess this up and get the 10th one wrong. What are the 2 major political parties in the United States? The American and Blue Moose Party, the Reform and Green Party, the Democratic and Republican Party, the Democratic, Republican, and Whigs. What are the 2 main political parties? Because we have a bunch of political parties. American and Blue Moose, Reform and Green Party, Democratic, Republican, and Democratic, Republican, and Whigs. B, C, 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 A, C, 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 C. Okay. And the correct answer, of course, is C, Democrat, Republican. So we got 10 out of 10. We could keep going. There's 20 questions here. I'm going to stop there. All right. So there you go. So that's a practice test. So here's another one. There were 13 original states. Name 3. Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York. Anyway, so that's that. So that's the test, folks. That's how it works. And that's for those who become naturalized citizens. That's the $750,000 per year on average. Okay, there should be term limits for all politicians, not just the president. Yeah, I don't disagree. Now maybe not the Dems really anymore. Okay, 7 out of 10 says, well, you would have passed. You need 6 out of 10. You could have become a citizen. Thank you, Ann Marino. I qualify for citizenship. I got 10 out of 10. That's pretty good. Thank you for subscribing, HB. I'm due to start my own YouTube, social media channels. It's time. I'm so sick of the lies and misrepresenting black people. Pumlani, good luck on that. Let me know when you start it. And if we find the content interesting, we can let people know about it. What was the third charter given for colonization? Are you going to tell me it's a Plymouth Charter? Kan niemand för mig säga alsjeblieft vad de stappen is? Vad med dock en anspråk? I'm not sure your question there. Don't understand your question. Okay, there you go. All right, so we did that. We covered that. Live in Sweden, live in Sweden. Best decision I made. Yeah, but Sweden's a mess. You got a mess right now, all kinds of problems. Now and then, my family, Republican, 1850 were Whigs. Okay. Wow. I don't know that I ever had ancestors that were Whigs. All right, so did you guys enjoy that? We did that, so that's how that works, okay? Just so you know, okay? Pork chops banned in Sweden? Not that I know of. They're asking for a step-by-step guide before they apply. Yep. Yes, and Arctic is telling him, Vag to the Amerikanska ambassad de Rios publicia. So wait until the American embassy publishes the standards. Correct. See, you guys think I can't read that stuff. Be careful what you write. It's time for a little Kalfoot Soki here at 1:40 in the morning. Little Kurt Darren Kalfoot Soki there. Thanks, Chris, for the stream. Holy says Israel called a meeting which resulted in a Republican Party. No, the Republican Party was formed in the 1850s. Israel wasn't a state until 1948. Thank you for the fake media. Oh, Ravani, I told you it was coming, didn't I? Unfortunately. Shakespeare is funny. Shakespeare is funny devil. And Khan macht mein Hund. Arctic's getting a timeout. Getting a timeout. There's nothing wrong with Shakespeare. The devil has nothing to do with it. Stop it. I didn't use your surname to not say my surname. I have no idea what you're talking about there. Warwick says, Colonel ons gaan op your stoep braai. You're not doing it braai on my stoop. Super easy test. If USA want people who align with their values to check social media history. Yeah, well, no, they do that. They can check your social media history. That's right. Yes, I saw he's offering to use his puppy to fertilize my lawn. Natalie Rhodes, thank you. I have enough people whose puppies were fertilizing my lawn. I caught one of the dogs from the neighbors who kept crapping in my backyard. Israel Washburn was a founder of Republicans, at least in it. Oh, Israel Washburn. Okay, well, I thought you said Israel. Misread that. Johan Bachheisen says, can you imagine the amount of rocks the South African government will throw in the road to try to prevent Afrikaners from leaving? Oh, my goodness. Well, look, it's not good, folks, people to be leaving. I mean, it's sad. I understand a lot of people that they think there's only option, but it's not good for South Africa, and it's really sad. Danny Fanada says, aren't you all amazed that South African mainstream media apologists are out there defending the race-based laws? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I showed you the fake news, News 24, IOL, and the Times Live, all of them fake news. Maybe the entrance exam should be based on ACT or SAT scores. Yeah, no, the media definitely misleading people. Yeah, people are getting paid, no doubt about it. Anyway, all right, guys, I've been at this for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's getting a bit late here, and thank you all for being here. Be sure to hit the like button if you don't mind. Thanks for the super chat revenue that came in, for the new membership, for the questions and comments, and also for Robert Oliphant, if you're still here, for pointing out the issue with AfriForum's video. I'll watch it in the morning if I have time. I've got Rugby Scotland versus Ireland on Rugby Ascendant. That is tomorrow morning. Well, it's already tomorrow for you guys, and it's tomorrow for me, but it'll be at 10 o'clock. So that's in about 7 hours. So I'm going to get some rest, but I'm probably going to make a video about Julius Malema's response. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for being here. Sad to go after you. Work your entire life to build a life. Yeah, I got you. All right. You guys take care. Thanks for being here, and go well. Go well. Cheers, everybody. By the way, did you guys like the thumbnail? Do you like the lion dog face pony soldier that I had made? I used AI for that. I thought it was pretty cool. I like that, the lying dog face pony soldier. Anyway, cheers everybody. You guys take care. Thanks a lot.